Da-dee-da. And I believe we're live. Okay, welcome everyone to another exciting edition of me rambling on about fanboy videos with a random person to help me out. And in this case, we have a gentleman by the name of LiteratureDevil. And I don't know exactly what we can characterize your channel as, sir, but it's definitely in the realm of media criticism or critique. And go ahead and tell us about your channel. Let's actually hear about it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was mainly aiming for. Because I got into Twitter first of all because of mainly politics, because I've been into politics for a long time, just as a kind of like a hobby. And but one thing I eventually learned is that the big time politics that we see on TV every day in the news every day, it's more like a symptom of culture. So the culture kind of defines what the politics eventually becomes. And our culture right now in our current day is defined heavily in the entertainment industry, movies, books, television shows, that sort of thing, in consumable media. And you can see how the culture changes by how these particular forms of media change. And a lot of things that people are seeing right now is the change of the character. You see a lot less development, a lot more Mary Sue's, so to speak, Mary Sue-ish characters coming out. A lot more movies where they it's more like manufactured rather than coming from a place of passion, really. And one thing I tried to or am trying to do with the channel is explore these concepts as in comparison from coming from a writing standpoint, and comparing it to what's going on today and how they're why are these so many these big name franchises failing. You had Ghostbusters, which barely broke even on their budget alone. Now you got Marvel Comics, which I've been following Comicsgate, and how the fans have kind of evacuated mainstream comics to go over to indie publishing, which is good with me because I've always preferred indie publishing. I've always been a big fan, big supporter of indie publishing. And now we got what we're going to talk about today, Solo, which is actually one of the first Star Wars movies to really fail, relatively speaking, in the box office as compared to other Star Wars movies.
Right.
Uh, and that's what I'm trying to do, just a mix with cultural criticism with what I've learned, with writing and how stories form, characterizations, that sort of thing, and why, and mashing them together to just explore these concepts, these tropes, and how we can move away from these things that are failing and move towards things that can succeed.
That's a nice way of putting it. My channel is mostly about literary criticism, but I do occasionally, because I'm Canadian, I occasionally have the fun little Trudeau commentary or whatever. Sometimes some political issues like unfortunately net neutrality is a political issue and other things related to the digital media. So
Right.
I bring those up as well. But mostly we're here to talk about media, and the current one we have is the Solo movie, and it's another fanboy gasm by Major Lee. And if anyone knows about anything about Major Lee, he is one of these gentlemen on YouTube who I don't know if he has an editor. I don't know if he has friends that critique his stuff. I think it's just him and his own voice, and he's speaking to you directly. And it sounds as if he is trying to take something which we know is like a block and say this is not only a block, it could be a cube and you can make it a rectangle. He's talking about all the variations of things, and that's fine. You can say whatever you like on YouTube, but it comes across as ridiculous projections that don't really help much in critical analysis, especially with media. And it's kind of the antithesis of what I try to do whenever I analyze something. So to hear the opposite end or the other side of the coin, which is the super fanboy, is it's refreshing. I mean, you really have to wonder what mentalities people are coming from, and I wish we can get them on or anyone really, any kind of fanboy that we can talk to and just get their ideas off the cuff. Because I don't know if would he actually edit his own work. I don't know. It's because whenever I write anything, I'm very critical of my grammar, let alone the content. So with Major Lee, it's like, I love this thing because it's awesome. And you're like, what? Why? So
Because I say it's awesome. That's why it's awesome.
essentially, yeah, which goes against all rational thought and evidence-based critique. So you're gonna get a lot of that if you don't know Major Lee, and it's a painful experience. It's also a fun, silly one at times. So we're trying to have a nice balance between. It's like watching someone eat really hot sauce. Like they like it, but it could kill them. It's like just their olfactory nerves can just stop.
Yeah, time to go to the hospital now.
Yeah, just sleep for a day or two. Anyway, if there's anything else, we're going to get started and sit back and enjoy the ride.
Viewer discretion won't do you any good now. Solo. Not to be confused with Solo, or Salo. Yeah,
Okay, I have to admit that part actually got me when the first time I saw this video. Adding in the Salo part.
It's clever, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting from this video. That's all I'm saying.
went there. When the title of this film was announced, some people were a little disappointed because we all know what a much better title would have been. Now, since my Last Jedi video was so well received, I thought, why?
I like how he actually upvoted his own video.
I didn't even notice that. That's a good sign of a confident person.
Oh yeah, he's like, of course it's amazing. It's mine. Oh my god, I should upvote all my videos.
Continue my quest to annoy Star Wars fans by offering a critique that no one wanted to a film that no one wanted.
Well, at least he's honest. I mean, this is good. He's not without comedy. So
he's pushing the honesty up front. He knows no one wants this, but he's going to do it anyway. Just to annoy you.
And it's an underrated film, even though no one wants it. It's like, okay, I guess so.
But this video will be a little different, because Solo is a different beast altogether. While critics and audiences had vastly different opinions of The Last Jedi, Solo saw them in exact agreement with each other. Everyone thought it was just okay. For me,
that's true. I thought it was excruciatingly okay. That's probably one of its most terrible sins.
Yeah, it gets the mediocre stamp because it has a lot of flaws, but it's a simple enough story that you don't have to think about things and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the biggest sin, I think. It's a movie called Solo about one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars franchise, and it turned out to be all right.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it more because of Chewie. And Lee likes it better because of Woody, and I'm just like everyone got something out of it that I guess is not the focus. It's just all these one-dimensional characters just doing their thing. It's like, it's Chewie. He's tearing people's arms off. That's all I wanted. It's like, okay,
yeah, it does the trick. Does the trick.
Solo was the epitome of an up and down film that occasionally dipped into the realm of really good, but overall just skated right along the line of good, while rarely slipping into the realm of, okay, just what the fuck? Why? Just why?
See, this is good because now he's not crazy. He's not like gushing over Darth Maul because that's what Star Wars fans would do, or particular Star Wars fans.
Yeah, the ones that have actually seen the prequels and migrated over here to the sequel series, or in this case, another prequel movie. I guess they didn't learn their lesson in that in that category. Then
George Lucas is bad, and then no, he's not. Bring him back, please, please, George, buy it back at a retail price.
Retail price.
Yeah. Was it $2 billion now? Oh, it's gone down in price. Okay.
Although there are some things in this film that I really did not need, like every single reference, Solo is also...
See, that's strange. Why wouldn't you want references when you're doing a prequel movie? You'd want lots. You'd want everything to establish it as fact within lore to be, hey, wow, there's stormtroopers and the Empire and droids, and like you want all those references. So it's kind of strange
Right, like in the usual in a normal movie where they, if it's the next installment in the timeline, references can get kind of annoying because yes, we get it, nostalgia. But in a prequel movie like this one is, it makes more sense because you're actually supposed to establish things before the next part comes in, or else you're cheating. It's a writer's way of cheating. You get Deus Ex Machinas, that sort of thing. So yeah, references would actually make sense. I actually didn't mind any the references in this movie because they made sense to me.
Well, the problem with the references, in case the ones like the iconic ones, like where to get his blaster, they're like, oh, that's it, or oh, it's the dice, and that's the reason. Like that's like it's not that references are by themselves bad. It's just the references in this movie are bad.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of the reference. I mean, it's the references by themselves. It's a good idea to add references in a movie like this because it's a prequel. But I do have some problems with the way they establish some of these references.
Oh
like
yeah,
how Solo got his name.
Oh god, Lee is gonna just gush over that. Oh.
Packed with so much quality that it really does end up being a triumph against all odds. Now, who does that sound like? Huh?
So hold on, did you say Solo was a triumph against all odds?
The movie as well as the character, yes.
That's not true. And he said this is a movie in the Star Wars franchise, which is one of the most iconic and biggest franchises in America, and one of the solid pillars of pop culture. And Han Solo is one of the most iconic characters of that franchise. All right, the odds should have been, the odds weren't long. It should have been really easy to make this movie successful.
And it lost millions and millions of dollars at the box office.
So it wasn't a triumph against all odds. It was a defeat against all odds.
It was a passing grade, and then you failed law school sort of triumph.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
I don't know, something like that.
That point is completely wrong.
On every metric, yeah, we can say that.
Anyone? This film is part Treasure Island, part Paths of Glory, part Runaway Train, part Unforgiven, part The Outsiders.
Really, part Unforgiven. You're gonna, oh my god.
There was nothing unforgiven in there. I mean,
well, he's like listing all these big names. You're like, okay, dude. I
mean, maybe comparing this movie to The Unforgiven is unforgivable, but I didn't see anything unforgiven in here. What, he's like a space cowboy? That's about it. I mean, you could say that about a lot of westerns.
For sure. No, it's trying to compare, like Unforgiven is one of the top western movies out there.
Yeah, it's an excellent, excellent movie. If anyone has never seen it before, I recommend watching it. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, and compared to this is like what part? Like the betrayal? Like what? Like I don't.
Just Unforgiven, I guess.
Right.
Take your pick. Make me right somehow.
Part 2001.
What? Star Wars is like 2001. That's wow.
Where? Like because the robot gets put into the ship sometime.
You're talking about space opera versus the hardest science fiction movie ever. It's just no.
There's a big difference between adventure sci-fi and space opera. I mean, just hard sci-fi. 2001, The Space Odyssey was supposed to be kind of a speculative look into the future of outer space adventure. Mankind expanding in outer space. I don't see that really here in Solo.
No, like with 2001, you either like it or you absolutely hate it because it's this bizarre film cinematic experience for its time was unexpected.
Yeah, it was a very visceral sort of experience.
Yeah, and Solo is just a popcorn pleaser. I mean, it's like you're not doing anything new.
Yeah, there's nothing really cerebral about Solo.
Oh God, no.
So I have no idea where he's coming from at this point.
He listed about 6 movies. I'm not going to go back and relist them because it's just stupid. It's just comparing this to other, like a Western movie because it has the title Unforgiven and 2001. Like, what kind of range are you talking about here, buddy? Either that, he actually believes that, and thus the film is so scattershot you could have apply any movie you like. It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's
I was going to mention that after he's done listing like these droves of movies that if you are listing these droves of so many movies that this film is like, that indicates that this film is relatively unfocused, which it kind of was.
yeah, and plus with all the directors and cinematics, it's just the reshoots, the re-edits is like, oh, come on. You cannot compare this to 2001. What the hell, man? That's a joke. And this is just, we haven't even started this video yet. We're already getting freaked out. Okay.
Part The Getaway, part American Graffiti, part
Oh my God. That's just,
American Graffiti. That part of the movie was like what, a couple of minutes.
anything by Lucas. Yeah, let's list that. Sure. What's next? THX? Like what?
Godfather 2, part gang.
Godfather
How
2.
is that Godfather 2? How is that because he joins the army?
Well, he didn't say Godfather 3, and he didn't say Godfather 1, so I'm like really confused.
Yeah, because Godfather 2 was the one where Michael Corleone actually goes and takes over. He's full in on the mafia life now.
Right.
And Godfather 2 was the one where they had, they interchanged it with Vito Corleone, the way he built himself up, and Godfather 2 was where Michael Corleone started expanding, trying to get legitimate, and still couldn't do it. So, how is this Godfather 2?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Like he's just listing movies.
Like maybe this part is Godfather 1, maybe a little bit, because Michael Corleone also joined the army. That's the only thing I can come away with.
Oh goodness. It's like Goodfellas and Godfather and
I think he's listing movies that come out on top of his head, and like it's like this, and it's like that, and it's like this.
it's like Batman. It's like what?
Gangster number 1, part To Have and To Have Not, part Out of the Past, part Westworld, part.
Are you like this is a joke? Part
Gangster?
Westworld? Like what?
I haven't actually seen Westworld, so but I know it's about it's a sci-fi show.
Well, okay, but it's just like where are we going with this? It
And
can't
part
be all these movies all at once. I'm sorry, buddy.
Part Gangster number 1. Why? Because the guy is British.
I don't get it. This is insane. It's like he has like multiple personality and they each watched a different movie and they're just running through his head.
Gangster number 1 is about this psychotic gangster in Britain who rises to the top with his ruthlessness, with over-the-top ruthlessness. It's this guy, the villain character he's talking about, has nothing to do with that. He's not nearly as ruthless or.
Oh God, the antagonist of this movie. I think he even admits the antagonist is bad, which defeats all this nonsense he's talking about. Right? Like, okay, he's saying nonsense now, and then he's going to say some nonsense later that will contradict his previous nonsense. Okay, this is how crazy this logic is. So just don't pay attention. We'll just tell you how insane this rationale is. I don't know what to call it anymore. Just ramblings.
High Noon, and part Star Wars. Overall,
Oh, that's good. Good to have the video of the franchise as part of being in there. I'm glad that fit into his rubric of whatever the hell he's talking about.
I am legitimately impressed
it's
with the
part
right.
Star Wars. Okay, at least it's part Star Wars.
At least, after
least
fitting in
it's
all those 2 other dozen movies he listed.
It's a little bit Star Wars.
In this film. Not only did they cram in all of the expected origin story beats of how Han meets Lando and Chewie and how he gets the Falcon and all that bullshit, but
What? All that bullshit? Like that's what you're expecting. It's supposed to be good. Unless he's saying it's bad and admitting it's like, oh, this stupid story of origin. Oh, we have to go through this bullshit. It's like, what?
That's one thing. That's one pattern I've seen with these new movies that like to inject these sorts of politics in. And you'll see this later on in the video, and you see this later on itself. Was that they don't really seem to like the legacy character they've been given. They just were given this legacy character because he sells, but they really want to be writing about someone else and something else. Because if you notice the new Star Wars movies, and including Solo, they inject like this weird Marvel humor that you see in the Marvel movies, but it seems kind of awkward in the Star Wars universe.
Well, at least the actual jokes aren't anachronistic, so it feels like they're writing for like a certain crowd.
Right, right.
Like I didn't get that vibe, but it's just can you just tone it down, please? Focus on the character as opposed to trying to crack a joke. It just
Yeah, sometimes their humor kind of gets away with actual storytelling and character development, which is, I think, one of the big problems of these new Star Wars movies.
people are saying Solo is part Futurama because Bender likes to say "death to all humans" a lot. It's like, yeah, why not? There are droids in there, sure.
Yeah, Bender wants independent sneaker rights too, so it's part Futurama.
Yeah.
That does make sense. That would make sense in his mind anyway.
Yeah.
Then the film goes even further by actually giving us surprisingly dimensional new characters like Kira, Beckett, and Enfys Nest, who all kept you guessing until the very end.
They kept us guessing. They're one-dimensional.
They are all one dimensional, especially Enfys Nest. I think that's the character's name, but she was introduced early on, but you didn't get to see anything about her until later on in the movie, towards the end.
Just because there's plot twist doesn't mean there's more dimensions to a character. It just means there's plot twists, okay? I was going to do something, but I'm going to do something else now. It's like, okay. And it happens 3 times because we call it a triple cross, or we weren't expecting the third thing to happen or whatever. It's like, that's it. That doesn't mean they have dimensions.
And these are all the characters in this movie kind of fit snugly into an archetype and from what I saw, none of them really came alive, like into their own character. They all fit a specific trope, like they're trying to check off a box.
That box would be the script of this scene happens now, and then this scene happens next. That's it. That's as complex and dimensional as it gets. Like, Han is a good guy, and we want to know how he's a bad guy. And I don't know how he's a bad guy. Like, there's no character arc to showcase that.
Oh no, Major Lee does say he gets a character arc somewhere.
I'd like to see it. I must have been watching a different movie because I didn't see it.
I must have blinked in this character arc.
Yeah, it must have been really quick.
Certainly didn't expect the movie to give us such insane new set pieces that really are some of the craziest, biggest, most extravagant shit we've ever seen in Star Wars films.
That's true. I wouldn't throw that away. I think a Cthulhu monster in a black hole is pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that part was pretty cool. I personally like the train heist. I like the it's kind of very old west style scenario, especially when they're trying to go with a cowboy motif with especially with Woody Harrelson's character.
Yeah, so again, as we're watching a movie, in terms of cinematics, in terms of visuals, it's a lot of great settings. That's true. Yeah.
Fresh, new-looking settings, of course, and even some newly explored themes like Lando fucking robots, which...
Okay, no, that's not a theme. First off, there's no evidence of this. It could be implied, but it could be many things could be implied from the conversation with Kira and L3. But he's just jumping to that extreme because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
So
the conversation between Kira and L3 where she's talking about how Lando Lando's in love with her or something.
Well, the L3 thinks it's love. She calls it love. And that's fine, but it's still a toaster talking about love. So, great. The toaster has a sense of humanity, even if it's fabricated. Great. I think that's a good thing. It doesn't imply, oh, by the way, we fuck. It's like, no.
No, you don't. I'm pretty sure Lando would be in quite a bit of discomfort.
Yeah. It's implied. That's the beauty of language. You imply things with ideas. It doesn't mean it's actually happening or it has happened.
So, makes sense.
You look absolutely beautiful.
In fact, this film dives into many concepts that we only saw glimpses of in previous Star Wars films, but we kind of figured they were a part of the bigger machine. droid fucking, child slavery,
Oh yeah, they didn't talk about child slavery at all.
And
Just never.
no, never came up.
Yeah.
Never came up.
grassroots tribal uprisings.
Tribal uprisings. Let's see. The entire Ewoks, the Sand People.
Those never happened.
Yeah, that was just they just touched upon it. They never actually showed them.
That's another theme that I see going around with these new movies, where it's, they're in love with their new versions of these movies being firsts and everything. First X character, first X character in XYZ role or something like that. So even if it's not really, kind of like how they did with the Black Panther movie, as they say, oh, he's the first black superhero to get his own movie. But they forget about Blade, and then the arguments I see on that front is that Blade was more of a horror movie.
Like what?
No, it wasn't. Who was scared watching Blade? It's not scary. It's just awesome.
It's an action flick that happens to involve vampires. Yeah.
So you get a lot of this convenient forgetting about the past, so you can claim that your new stuff was the first one to do it.
Well, it is possible these kids never actually want to operate a VHS, so it's it's like, oh, I can't be bothered. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to watch my dad's tapes or whatever.
I gotta get up, I gotta put the tape into the machine, and then I gotta press play. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
That's too much. I get my maid to do it.
Crime syndicates and heist operations.
Geez, where to begin? Crime syndicates. See the underbellies of the first series. I mean, you could argue the entire Empire is a crime syndicate.
Crime syndicates were a big thing in Star Wars, especially the Return of the Jedi.
Smuggling, yeah. I mean, Han's a smuggler. I mean, you think that's
Han's
legal?
Han's a smuggler. I mean, you can't be a legal smuggler. It defeats the purpose.
A legal smuggler. I'm a trader. Yeah. The Trade Federation. I mean, yeah, they were doing lots of legal things. Had a standing army. Yeah, it's totally legal.
Crime has always been a huge part of Star Wars ever since the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know where he's going, but apparently this movie did a lot more.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they said Rogue One was the first Star Wars movie to emphasize the war part.
Maybe.
To actually put war in Star Wars. It's you get war everywhere in the movie. I mean, it's not just magical space monks.
Yeah, it's in the title actually, so they call it Star Wars, and there's people fighting with swords and laser bolts or whatever. So you're gonna get
use
two people.
Those are the kinds of things. Yeah, usually swords and laser guns and space crossbows. They are the kind of things that you use in war.
Yeah. So not sure where Lee's going with this, unless he's just listing a bunch of themes that other Star Wars movies did.
He listed a bunch of movies that had no real connection to this movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's listing a bunch of themes that have no connection to the movie.
Okay, so movies, themes, what's next? Colors? There's a lot of black, and it's the blackest movie of all the other movies.
So much chartreuse in here, it's ridiculous.
Oh. I can actually see it without no lighting, yeah.
Empire's training and recruitment. Droids being...
The training and recruitment of one sound clip and then a time skip. That's it. There's no training.
So Han basically goes up to him, hey, I want to join the Imperial Navy. Okay, what's your name? Han? We'll name you Han Solo. All right, anything else? Nope, you're in. Get in there. And then 3 years later.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just the storytelling is so much lore and detail and backstory.
So glad we got to see all that. And so much of that movie was him being trained.
Okay, Lee, let's see where else we're going.
Sentient and wanting equal rights and fucking.
Yeah, that's stupid. Both of that is stupid. There is never an element where robots want equal rights out of all the movies that I can think of.
And not a single one until this movie.
And I think it was just a joke. I think it was all just a joke, like to make people laugh, as opposed to the character trying to be funny or trying to be serious. It was just hey, this might make people laugh in their seats. And it's like, okay, sure, you can go that
It
angle.
it might. I also think it's they wanted to throw that in there just to because the people in control of Star Wars right now are have been open about putting in like this far left progressive, regressive politics. So it might have been a joke, but it might have been like we wanted to have someone in there that is advocating for equal rights and freedom and stuff like that, even though it's a droid. But
Yeah. Again, I saw it. At first, I thought it was serious, and I'm like, this can't be serious. And then it's like, oh, it's a caricature. It's like,
oh yeah,
yeah, it's probably.
it was way over the top. It was way over the top. It was a caricature. You can't. Yeah, I can't. I personally can't look at it without having. Is this really a joke, or is this trying to push something on me, like they like to do all the time? But yeah, I took it as a joke. It was a. I didn't find it a very funny joke, but I thought it was kind of like I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I can't see it. There's very little depth with these characters, and he's projecting very hard now, and that's fun. I mean, you can take whatever you want out of the movie, but these are his reasoning, so we have to actually say, okay, this is what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I love the movie; it was fun and exciting. It's like, okay, but what was fun and exciting? And then you start saying, well, I liked the Cthulhu monster was really fun and exciting. And I'm like, what? It was big and scary, maybe, but fun. Like that doesn't make sense. There has to be elements that are logically connected to your reasoning, and
Yeah, 'cause
droid
that
rights.
Space Cthulhu was not. It had nothing to do with the story. It was just a momentary element to raise the stakes a little bit.
It was
So it,
interesting. Yeah, it was the most
yeah,
generic.
it was cool.
Yeah,
I give it that. It's cool.
it was just like why, how, where, when.
When were the Cthulhu monsters in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe it's somewhere in the extended universe. But I don't remember there being any
If you
sort of.
have Leviathan-sized creatures that can survive black holes, I want to know about them. Like that's kind of weird.
We should movie about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Oh well, let's go talk about droid sex.
And everyone's favorite, the concept of the hidden Sith apprentice. These things
Everyone's favorite, the concept. What? What? Where? Whose favorite? Why?
Was she a Sith apprentice?
No,
Was never
no,
established.
no, she wasn't. She was a person with a ring, and she opened the transmitter, and they started talking, and that was it. It's like, what the hell?
She's certainly a member of the crime syndicate, but never was it established that she had force powers or anything like that. I mean, she associates with Darth Maul apparently, but
That's it.
that's it. There's no. She wasn't a lightsaber wielder or used force powers or anything like that. She's not a Sith apprentice.
Ugh.
were actually pretty well integrated into the B and C stories of the script. And because of that, the film ends up doing a surprisingly good amount to further flesh out the cinematic Star Wars universe and make it feel even more lived in. But nobody was even expecting any of that. All we wanted was for them to get Han Solo right. And as for Han, come on, look at that smile.
So did he get him right or not? I would say not really. I mean,
Even he is saying, "Did he get it right?" Well, look at that smile. They was Han Solo known for his smile in the original movies?
yeah,
It's
not.
like maybe a little bit, like maybe one time.
I don't like this whole reasoning is like, hey, you know what's really great? This smile. It's like, what?
That's his answer to did they get Han Solo right was just look at his smile.
This can't be serious.
You know you love that smile. Just come on.
Okay, I can get another actual actor, and he could smile really well.
So
Is that it?
The only standard of quality you have for Han Solo,
He's
is-
got teeth. They're
he's
even.
got he's got to be able to smile really well, and then that's it. You got Han Solo.
This is ridiculous. This guy's like, he has teeth, and he's happy, and then
He's got functioning facial muscles.
and
and teeth.
his face moves up and down. You're like, oh my god, it's Han Solo. They explained him so well.
Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo is a great take on the character because
it's not okay. This is opinion, but he did a decent job. They could have gotten a better actor. They could have gotten a guy who looks better or sounds closer to him, but it wasn't horrific. Okay.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't. He
Yeah.
didn't make the movie unbearable. He did a good job.
The
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 only thing
rest the rest of the problem that I see is just the actual script and
yeah,
what he had to do in it. Because I'm sure if there was more elements of him being an original character and then growing into the Han Solo, as opposed to him just being the nice guy, and then he shoots his mentor and that's it. And you're like, where's the character development? Nothing. There's nothing. So
he did remain virtually unchanged throughout the entire movie. Nothing changed him. He was just always the same, like optimistic-ish sort of character. Nothing happened to him that caused him to change. So
he wasn't in any depression. He wasn't sad. He lost Kira. That's true at the start, and then he magically found her again. And you're like, oh, that's a coincidence. Like, you don't use coincidence to show character development. You can't. Things just don't happen, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm a new character now. It's like, that's not how you do it. You show a progression that is digestible by the common movie watcher. Say, oh yeah, I can understand what's going on, and the next scene happens, and you can understand, and it progresses from there until we get to wherever we need to go with the character. And we never got that. We just got happy-go-lucky, friendly hero Han dude, and then
All
he
the way
shoots
to
his
the end.
mentor, and that's it. As far as I
And
remember.
I had the feeling that, I mean, that wasn't really a change. I'm pretty sure that if he was put in the same situation at the beginning of the movie, he still would have shot his mentor. Like, I think he was still that type of person to shoot first.
It's hard to say because I never really got the sense that this was a development story. Like, he wasn't like, there might have been a climax at some point, and I guess that was the double cross. And then after that is like the denouement or whatever you want to call it near the ending, because there's so many crosses. It's like, okay, well, now what's going on? I don't know what's going on. So I guess you could say the second climax, or the previous one was the anticlimax, is when he shoots his mentor, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean by him not changing. Is that by the time we get to the part where he shoots his mentor, it's I feel that that's the same exact Han that we see at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, there's no smarmy. There's no, like, he's not dubious. He's not trying to charm you like crazy. He's just the same guy. And when we get to episode 4, it's like, okay, he's this kind of smuggler guy who's looking out for himself and doesn't give a crap. And you're like, well, that's a little different than what we got. So where did that Han develop? We don't know.
Maybe he develops in this sequel that he wants. That's where the development will be.
The sequel to the prequel? Yeah, that's great.
And sequel to the prequel.
Oh my God.
It's not an outright impression of Harrison Ford, yet he also totally feels like Han Solo.
That does, but it's like he's not really like Big Bird, but he's totally like Big Bird. Like, what?
He doesn't. Yeah, he never felt like the original Han Solo to me. He's not even a younger version of himself. He seemed like a different character entirely.
Yeah, and I thought that would be fine, because if you do that, then you can tell a unique character that is slowly growing into the Han Solo we know, or the character we know.
Yeah, which implies some sort of character change.
Right.
At one point. At some time. Hypothetical character change.
Right. Which is a great, like, there's two ways to do it. You start from what you know, and you get all the mannerisms right. And I think he did a decent job with the acting. And then, you show the elements of conflict that make him into the character we expect. Or you go from something completely original, which I guess is closer to this example, and you show a gradual progression. And we didn't get a gradual progression. We just got a progression of the same character.
If anything, he might change a little bit at the end, but it's more of like a snap, and it's not significant in any way.
You can't do character change just by standing on a cliff and watching a ship go off in the distance and looking a bit sad.
Yeah, that's the one point where maybe his character might change a little bit, but I'd still say no. ultimately.
Yeah, you
Still the
actually
same
have to
guy.
show the scenes of him moping or getting jaded and getting disgruntled and saying life sucks, I'm doing this, and then it just jumps straight to him going into the Millennium Falcon and find, or not Millennium Falcon, but going to Lando and beating him at cards. It's like, aren't you angry? Aren't you sad? Or did you get really pissed off that Kira just left you again? Like, what? No.
And I think it probably should have like the end of the movie with him looking at her leaving, because that's true. He's really sad at watching her leave, and then the very next scene, he's back to the same old Han again. There's no change. He's just happy, the same guy from the very beginning of the movie.
And now that would have been a great scene, or it would have worked well, at least if, let's say, when he lost the card game originally, he was too plucky and trusting, and then now that Kira left, now he starts playing the game. He's really hardcore and serious. It's like, oh, now he's like hardened, and he's gonna win because he's like nothing to lose sort of mentality. And it's like,
Yeah, but it was the exact same card game, except
yeah,
he won this time.
because Lando didn't cheat or couldn't cheat.
Yeah, he couldn't
Wow,
cheat.
great development there.
Especially when he makes this face. The fact that he was able
Wait, what?
Okay, so there's two standards now. You want a good Han Solo, he has to be able to smile and make a serious face.
Yep, that's it. Smiling
That's Han Solo.
and not smiling.
to
So if you
pull
want to
off
make your own fan film of Han Solo, make sure the guy you get to play Han Solo can both smile and not smile really well.
Lessons by the Screenplay by Major Lee.
acting like Han, but not totally aping Harrison Ford, is just top shelf acting at its
Okay, Major Lee does not know what acting is or what top shelf acting is.
This was not top shelf acting. This
It was
okay
decent. I
acting.
mean, he did a decent job.
Yeah, it was okay acting. It was maybe mid shelf acting, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he did the best he could with what he was given, and it wasn't horrible.
How many movies has this guy actually seen?
Oh,
where
jeez.
what's his standard of comparison that he calls this top shelf acting?
Well, again, this guy listed like Godfather, and 2001.
Well, yeah, he listed them, but if he's comparing them the way he compared those movies to this movie, I'm
Oh
not sure.
God, did he actually watch those?
I'm not sure if he's actually seen them or not. So,
Well, even if he did watch them, was he actually like,
wait,
this is top shelf acting in this movie? Like, give him the room. I was like, oh, this could be a bit better here and there. It's like, no.
Tommy Wiseau, this is top shelf acting, man.
I don't know about those other actors, but Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau was great at. He should play Solo next time. He can smile. I've seen Tommy Wiseau smile.
He can smile and do that face where he's kind of sort of depressed, maybe, sort of.
This is Tommy Wiseau emotion. He's got his own emotions. I'm pretty sure.
best. But the amount of energy and heart that he brings to every single scene is the sole factor that gives this film such a fun and hopeful vibe all throughout. Not to mention, this poor fucking guy had to endure a total shitstorm of idiotic fake news articles that
Okay, what's so fake news about reporting the fact they hired an acting coach?
Like,
Did-
did they not hire an
They
acting
did,
coach?
of course they did. You can't lie about like who's on staff. It's like
Fake
it
news is
happened.
not-
They hired an acting coach.
If they hire an acting coach, it's not fake. It's real.
Like why would you think they hired an acting coach? Gee,
Also,
maybe
I
the
don't-
actors
I don't-
weren't good enough or whatever.
I don't think needing an acting coach is that bad of a. I mean, it's not terrible if you need an acting coach.
No, and that's that's what movies do. It's like, oh, this actor is not hitting the lines we want him to hit. Get someone to help him out.
Right. I think I even saw an interview one time where a director was. I forgot what director it was, but they're talking about their transition from working with amateur actors and then working with the greats. And with the amateur actors, he was saying something like they wanted, it was really annoying because he wanted a lot of direction, or they wanted less direction. So when he went to the greats, he thought, oh, this is gonna be easy because they're gonna be on their own. They're gonna be, just gonna do their own thing, and it's gonna be real easy to direct the movie. But he found that the big stars, the professionals, actually wanted more hands-on direction. So they wanted the director to tell them what to do, how to act, that sort of thing. So
Well, they have a
it's
lot more
common.
experience. They have a lot more to pull out from.
Yeah. So it's not again, acting coach isn't bad. I would expect them to have one.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't have one could just mean scheduling conflicts, or they didn't factor that into their budget. And plus, when you have reshoots, you have to then rehire people. So
Yeah, it's not like this guy was stealing money from the fans, or having inappropriate comments with an underage fan or something like that.
I think this, I wouldn't call it fake news. I think it just played on the fact that people, when they saw him and they're like, oh, he doesn't really look like Han Solo, and he doesn't really sound like Han Solo. So if there's any news about related to acting or his performance, people are going to latch onto that and go, oh, so it's still not fake news. It's within the context of the people listening to this and saying, oh my God, this is going to suck. So
Right.
it's not factually incorrect, but again, within the world of popular opinion, it could be seen as a negative thing. So I understand what Lee's saying, but this is the fact of movie making. Things get leaked, and this is one of those things.
Especially like big movies like this, stuff is going to get leaked.
Pretty much, yeah.
Concocted a fable about him needing an acting coach during production that came from an anonymous actor who was featured prominently in the film, which really just translates to unemployed loser who makes shit up on the internet.
It's an actor who's on the set. So I guess the lead is also an unemployed loser? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he's working, he's not unemployed. I mean, is the information he's giving reporters true? Yes, maybe yes, maybe no, but he's definitely not unemployed.
Yeah,
he has a job.
He's just trying to defend the actor from backlash because he needed an acting coach.
In reality, that acting coach turned out to be a producer that came onto the production to coach everybody.
Still an acting coach.
Yeah, that's his job.
That's his job. Doesn't matter if he was a window washer, moonlighting as an acting coach. He was still teaching them acting, okay? We don't know in what context or what capacity. We don't know if it was just the lead actors or whatever. But again, not fake news. This actually happened.
Yeah, someone was in that role of an acting coach. So they had one.
Another way they really respected the character when writing this film is by not making
we're just jumping stories now? Okay, fine. Switching. Yeah.
Han an arrogant douchebag like we all probably thought he was going to be. Although he's a lot more optimistic and friendly in this film than how he is later in life, he needed to be different so that his heart could be crushed and he could evolve or devolve into the hardened dick that we all know and love.
Okay, this is two things. One, it could have been the same character, and we learn about more of his past and how he becomes more of what that character was. So it's like you can still have character change, but the character change is a hardening as opposed to a different persona, or it's the way that this movie did it, where you get a brand new fellow and then he becomes something else. The problem with that is he didn't grow and evolve. There was no arc, so it doesn't make a difference then how he started if there's no change.
I think they set out to make an adventure film rather than what it should have been was more like a character film.
It should have been about Solo. It should not have been about all these plot threads with multiple characters and multiple things going on, and then he gets the Falcon at the end. It's like, okay, it's good, I guess, but it doesn't explain what the backstory of Han Solo was, aside from showing us events.
Right.
It's basically fan fiction that was not constructed well.
Yeah, that's exact vibe I get from all these new Star Wars movies, that they seem to play out like fan fiction. You see this in these some of the newer Marvel comics too. I'm actually reading a couple of them right now just to get a hands-on about the story structure. But yeah, they seem like fan fiction. like they were like fans that were handed the keys to the car, and they've been driving automatic their whole life, and the keys they got was to a stick shift. They have no idea how to handle it.
The clutch keeps popping. Ah!
Yeah. So it doesn't seem like professional work as far as what we're used to. It seems more like the high school kid got his dad's car for the weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like Ryan Johnson. Or actually, it sounds exactly like Plinkett's review of Last Jedi. How Ryan Johnson is not stupid. He's like one of those smart high schoolers who wrote a script, and it's like no one bothered to read it. It must be great. Like, oh yeah, okay.
Characters need an arc, and thankfully this film did give him one.
Where? When?
Well, he's right. He's right. Characters do need an arc. Yeah, I'll give him that one.
But where does it happen? Where does it start? Where's the climax? Where's the change? Where's the choice? Where?
Too bad it ended as soon as it was getting good.
What? Getting good? I mean, when Kira leaves, that's the good part?
That's the good part.
I guess. Here's a useless character. Bye. I wish I could sit down with this guy and just like, what do you mean good? Like, what's your definition of good acting or good storytelling?
I really want to see what his comparison, like, what are his favorite movies. I haven't seen this guy much. Maybe he's gone over this, but I don't know. I'd like to see what he considers his favorite movies. Like,
just watch his fanboy-gasm of The Last Jedi. It is stellar. It is so, like, you just sit back in awe of the thoughts that come out of this guy's mind. It's like this movie or this video is pretty. I mean, we're having an okay time, but we're not even halfway through. So here we go.
But the Han and Kira storyline is just the perfect mirror to the dynamic between...
I had to open my big mouth. It is the perfect mirror between this and Leia. Are you serious? What? Oh, I'm not even going to comment. I'll just keep going.
Han and Leia. In The Empire Strikes Back, Han tries to convince Leia that he's not such a bad guy.
I happen to like nice men.
I'm nice, man.
No, you're not.
In Solo, he's trying to convince Kira that he is a bad guy.
I am not the good guy. I am definitely not the good guy.
And from all this, they actually managed to carve out a more dimensional romantic persona for the character. And
what is a more dimensional what? Example, please. What are you talking about, sir? How does he have depth? Because he tells Kira, I'm not the good guy. What does that imply for depth? Is he lying to her? Is he trying to learn to lie? Is he actually a good guy? I don't know. Like, depth is a very simple thing. First you have a surface level, and then you have value beneath that surface level, and then you imply that value, or you show that value, or whatever you want to do with that quality. It's that simple. Him giving one line where the opposite, or almost the opposite in another movie in the future, what does that mean? What differences can I derive that can mean something about the character? And if you don't show the difference or why that difference occurred, then it's just two different characters. And we don't know the connection, which is exactly what this movie is. It's a different Han. Stuff happens to him, and he's still the Han that they're showing us. And then the next movie happens, like episode 4. There's nothing. There's no comparison to be made aside from this isn't the same character.
Exactly.
And one that actually makes sense.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.
This movie, like The Last Jedi, spent some time cleaning up a few unexplained things that were in previous films.
Okay, so we're not talking about Han anymore. We're talking about stuff.
yeah, the stuff that's around Han.
but not Han. Not his character, not his motivations, not his backstory, just stuff.
At least he's channeling the same vibe the movie gave me. It's just not really about Han. It's more like everything around Han that they're
It's
trying to
it's
push
the
on you.
lore, it's the random Easter eggs, it's all these references that not everyone gets because you have to be a hardcore Star Wars fan to care.
It's the new characters they want to push on you.
Yeah, I guess.
Han being the best Falcon pilot in the galaxy, now we know it's because his father built Millennium Falcons for a living. Han
That makes no sense. I talked to you about this before the stream, but if my dad worked at McDonnell Douglas, making fighter jets, apparently I'm now amazing at flying fighter jets, or specifically those fighter jets.
I guess getting these skills are like osmosis.
It just seeps through the air. We're having
Well, for
dinner.
me-
It's like, I smell oil on you, Dad. You building an F-14? Well, yes, son. Yes, I was. Oh, can
once
I
had dinner
fly
with
it?
a
No,
doctor.
you can't. You're too young. Oh, okay.
I once had dinner with a doctor once, and now I know how to resuscitate people, and I can do surgery.
This is crazy. Just show him flying frickin' ships. Can you do that movie? He's like, oh, and he sucks at it first, and then it shows like a time skip, and he's still flying the same ship, and he's not crashing as much. And it shows like another time skip, and he's like amazing or something. It's like, oh, a montage that took 20 seconds.
It kind of reminds me. Have you ever seen the Star Trek series, the Enterprise, the one that's supposed to be a prequel series?
Right.
I remember that the engineer Trip, he apparently, I think in the later episode, he describes how he became so good at working on spaceship engines is because he worked on motorboat engines with his dad when he was a kid.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Like, how do you get from motorboat engines to space engines? And then over here, it's like your dad built ships, therefore you can fly them.
Well, in the case that example, I think the storyline behind that was Archer's dad and his dad were friends, and they designed the engine together. And
Oh yeah,
but they're talking about engines.
yeah,
You know?
engines.
This is like Han talking to as if his dad was the engine designer for the Falcon, and then Han just learned to fly. You're like, what? How? Did you
If
let
his
him in
dad-
the cockpit? Nope. Like, what?
Like if his dad was a pilot, it would make more sense.
Yeah, if his dad was a fighter pilot or another scoundrel or traitor, then it would make sense that he would live with him and thus go on trips with him. And maybe there were some times where he had to sit at the pilot seat and take over. It'd be like, oh, okay, and then that became a thing. And then we saw that as a even younger Han, teenager or whatever, and he's like at the helm and he's doing stuff, and he shows again another time skip, and he's like, oh, he's 3 years younger or older, and boom, he's flying again, and then he's like getting shot at, and it's like 3 years later, and he's like, now he's getting shot, he's not getting hurt. It's like, oh, he's an amazing pilot now. Like that's it. Like
Yeah.
that's all you need.
And you get better character development out of that scenario too. I mean, if his dad was a career criminal like he turned out to be, it would make sense that he would have his son help him out because he needs every hand he can get. So yeah, he could have like a little kid take the wheel, of the ship every once in a while he has to go, man the cannons or fix something, whether in being attacked or something, and that would help develop Han's unique skill when piloting spaceships. And also, he doesn't. It's more like he doesn't have to be taught. In that scenario, he could be like self-taught, where he got to figure things out. His dad gives him pointers. He's got to fly by the seat of his pants. And in that logic, he's been piloting literally almost his entire life. So it would make sense why he's so uniquely good. Why he's such. There are plenty of good pilots in the universe, but why he is uniquely good at piloting.
And let's just say he doesn't have to be like the best ever, like the most amazing pilot. He just has to be competent
best.
enough to explain current Han Solo.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you can be. He doesn't have to be the best. He just has to be, better than the average guy. So, and at a young age and all that stuff. So, it would make more sense, yeah, if they were to show us like him growing up with maybe like a criminal dad, and showing us that yeah, he got into the piloting role early on in his life, and then we got to see that, show not tell.
Well, good luck with the card gambling skills, wherever that came from. It's like, yeah, he's just amazing. He's a gambler. He wins. It's like,
Well, he picked the right character class, so this just comes with there.
oh, he just rolled doubles on 10 luck and 10 agility or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a class perk, plus 10 to gambling.
Okay.
Han's blaster being ridiculously powerful. Now we know it's because
It's not ridiculously powerful. It's a blaster.
It does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to kill things it hits.
I don't think there's ever a power level associated with it. Like, you know how the bowcaster that Chewie uses, like that was shown off in The Force Awakens, but Han's blaster is just a generic blaster.
And any movie that his blaster has been in, there's been other types of guns that have done the same thing. In the original trilogy, if you shot a stormtrooper in the armor, he still died,
Yeah.
no matter what gun you used.
Yeah, I don't know where Lee's getting this, but I think he's just, again, fanboy projecting hard as always.
Yeah,
That's the majority. That's the majority of our observations. Like, Lee is talking shit. He's just projecting. It's
just fanboy stuff. But I've never heard anyone mention that Han Solo's pistol is more powerful than any other kind of pistol.
yeah. Don't know where he's getting it.
it's actually a bigger gun that was modified. Han always standing around and shooting. Kira actually addresses it.
What are you standing around for? Come on!
By the
What? Han just stands around and shoots? Is that a thing in the prequel, in the original trilogy?
I remember on Endor one time he shot and then ducked behind cover.
Oh, is that where the door is, and he's always stuck in that
He's
archway?
Yeah, that's that one point where I remember him like standing out in the open for a little bit and shooting because he had to.
Yeah, but that was because that's the only cover he had, and if he
Yeah,
walked away,
because he had to.
Yeah.
Because he had to. Here they don't really have to; they just do. Because they know they're not going to die.
The actor's like, well, we're not going to get hurt.
Just the character read the script, so they know they're not going to die.
Yeah. Ugh.
the end of this video, hopefully you'll understand why I strongly believe that Solo deserves a sequel.
Because you're a fanboy and you don't know what you're talking about. You're projecting as hard as humanly possible, and no one is there to tap you on the shoulder saying, whoa, what are you talking about? Where is this? Where does this ever happen in the movie?
We're only 6 minutes in, but he hasn't yet convinced me that this movie needs a sequel or deserves one.
I think if he didn't list all those movies and all those themes and make shit up, I think he'd be okay. But then he'd only have like 20 things or 20 seconds to talk about, like non-biased just observations. Like, it could be good because, you know, he's a good actor and it's a beautiful movie. I think that were his 2 points I've derived as being useful. It's like, yes, it's a good looking movie. Okay.
He's a good actor. It looks good. There's some interesting parts in there, and he could smile and he could not smile.
There we go. That's Han Solo.
But to do that, we must explore how this film is so up and down. The very opening is just phenomenal. Everything.
It's I've never seen an opening as phenomenal. It just my mind could not conceive. It was just boom, like every Star Wars film ever. It just like what, like look at that text on the screen. It's just phenomenal. This
immediately drags you into the movie.
Capitals and then not capitals and then periods. It's just they got a hyphen there. Wow, there's sentence structures blowing me away. It's just
obviously no other Star Wars movie has exploded onto the screen.
And they're not using yellow
Visual text.
font text. They're using what is that? Chartreuse or teal. It's like it's not scrolling. It's just right in your face. It's this is phenomenal. It's just amazing.
From the blue text to the immediately high stakes opening shots to the seriously amazing theme song. If you don't get
Does this guy know what high stakes means? High stakes is
Yeah, like we never heard of theme songs in Star Wars being good. So
If I remember correctly, it's Han Solo like starts off stealing that car or that vehicle or whatever,
yeah,
and then he's running away from people.
yeah.
I need to know why he's running away for there to be stakes, and I need to also know what's at stake for there to be high stakes.
Yeah. So even though it's exciting, it doesn't mean it's like catching you. It just, oh, there's something flashy on the screen that happens to involve motion.
Yeah, something's going on, but I don't feel any stakes. There's no tension there.
Yeah, we don't know the value of what's happening, and we need to be shown and told in any way why I should care.
So he has to yet explain to me how that opening scene is high stakes as it begins.
Pumped for this opening title. You might not even be awake. You've already fallen asleep. But then this first scene with Han and Kira.
So wait, he's admitting it could be boring?
That's exactly what I thought. It's like, so you're probably this movie's so boring in the beginning that you're probably already asleep if you're not excited.
But because he was watching, it's phenomenal.
Apparently,
Because
so.
of blue texts.
Blue text. There's no better opening.
Oh my god, this
Than
guy!
blue text.
Like he could just observe the movie. You see this scene where they're kissing. This is the best movie because they're kissing, and it's so romantic and emotional and mysterious. The lighting is, as you can see, it's very dark, so you're not sure if they're like really being emotional. It's like, dude, what the hell are you saying?
Oddly enough, the only thing he really one of the big things he really harped on that he didn't like was all the kissing in this movie.
I think over here, I did not understand where he was going with that. So let's continue.
It just bothers me. There's just too much making out. I think they make out two separate
There it
times
is.
in the same scene. Also, if they didn't make out in this scene, this other make-out moment that happens later on would have had a lot more meaning, and this other one would have felt less annoying as well. Now,
What is wrong with kissing, buddy? What, do you only want like one makeout scene? Wouldn't that feel awkward? Like, where did all this passion come from? At least now that we see they have feelings for each other, and over the years they still have the same feelings. Doesn't that?
Yeah, it's like a circular connection. It's how Lucas would say it rhymes. You know, at the beginning of the movie, we know they care for each other. It's very clear they have passion, feelings for each other. And then at the end, after everything they've gone through, you still see it there when
Like,
they kiss again.
This is so random that for him not to like this, compared to like, there's nothing inherently wrong with people showing affection for each other or repeating that affection over the years. In fact, that's a good sign that both people actually care for each other, regardless of what has happened and what's progressed. You don't need much time to show it. It's quick, and it shows a level of intimacy. That's
was
bad.
Was he expecting more like subtlety in their passion for each other? Because this movie is not really subtle in any way.
I'm just trying to wrap my brain around what is wrong with it. They're just kissing. Yeah, we know they're in a relationship, and then they go away, and then they come back, and they still feel the same, and they kiss. It's like, what's wrong? Like,
guess
of
there's
all
too
the
much of it.
things to criticize, this is what you don't like?
Everything else is awesome, but the kissing, yeah, you got to take that out of that. Characters who love each other shouldn't kiss so much.
Yeah, apparently.
the alternate opening was actually a lot better, and is one of the deleted scenes that's included on the Blu-ray. Somehow the lack of kissing and the fact that he wakes her up instead of this weird bumping, it just kind of felt like the stakes were a bit more real.
What stakes? Two people are together. One of them wakes the other up and puts a knife to the throat because she's, I don't know, lives on the street. And then the other scene, they're kissing. There is nothing wrong with this. What is the stakes?
I think by the time they kiss in that first scene, the stakes are actually a little higher because we know that he's running from people who want to kill him, and he has, something that of value on him. So we have a little bit more idea what's going on.
I'm just trying to remember. This is the same guy who defended Holdo and all the women of The Last Jedi by saying, they're women. Don't you want to look at women? What's wrong with you fanboys?
Oh, he's one of those guys.
It's just bizarre. I'm like, do you not like looking at women? But except when they're kissing other men, is that the thing?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess he doesn't like women when they're kissing men.
I don't know. I don't get it.
It's today. Wanna go for a ride?
He said someday, not today.
Now, Han getting his name from the Imperial officer is seriously underrated.
Oh boy.
How is that underrated?
Let's listen and find out.
People in the theater I saw it in were moaning and groaning before he even got the line out. But think about it this way. Han spends his entire life fighting the Imperials while also using the name they gave him, almost sticking it to them even harder.
Is he? Is he really going, my name is Han Solo Imperial Scum? Like, did that ever pop up?
Not that I've seen.
Was he ever motivated to hate the Imperials over his name? Like, this was never a part of the mythos.
And I don't blame the people in the theater for groaning at this, because it's really stupid how he gets his last name. I mean, it's really dumb.
So here's a level of fanboyism from Lee where he defends something which is almost indefensible. It's essentially asininely stupid. Like, there's stupid things like, Rey just not being trained and just, she can do anything. And then there's like, here's an actually bad thing. This is like, everyone who hears this or sees this goes, this is dumb. Like, this could have been a lot better. There's no question about it. Lee turns it on his head and says, "No, what? This is great. This is just fantastic. Because when you think about it my way, it's great." And you're like, which way are we thinking, Lee? The retard version of reality? Or like there's, because his last name was made by an Imperial agent who was recruiting him. Therefore, Han, whenever he attacks the Imperials, is sticking to it. It makes no sense.
Han Solo is like one of the iconic names of Star Wars. So the fact that an Imperial general just plucked it out of the air because he's alone apparently it kind of like diminishes that name, and it's really on the nose. Like, if you in the original trilogy, Han Solo just sounded like a cool name. It pertained to the character. He was kind of a loner, but in this movie they make it a literal Solo. Like, it's not just a family name. It's because he was alone, and you got to have a last name.
The way that Lucas or whomever did all the naming conventions of all the characters was very strange. It even happens throughout the KOTOR series. There's these names that just sound so bizarre, like Kid Fisto. Like, they're just strange. And that's fine. Like, you could have these weird alien names, and then you have these weird, stupid alien languages, which are all just scatologic. They have no phonetic meaning behind them. And yeah, if you want, like, the same with Wookiee, it's just like this guttural, there's no phonetics. So it's the same idea. And for them just to take the word and give the word the meaning that it traditionally has is like, well,
it takes it from like the cool abstract realm from where it was. Like, it just pertains to the character, like the metaphysical level, and then they make it literal.
Yeah, well, what if it was literal in a more interesting way? Like, he was like the winner of a fight, and he stood alone. It's like, oh, you're by yourself, man. Like, because he beat the shit out of everyone, or he survived something. So they nicknamed him Solo.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better, right? Because that would still pertain to the character. But here it's just like, all right, your name is Solo now.
Yeah, his last name is because he wanted to join the Empire. That's it. And the Empire gave him a name. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll be called Han Solo now. Like, if I was an orphan and someone gave me a last name and it was like Dude, like Smud Dude, and I'll be like, well, I guess my last name's Dude now. It's like, no, I can call myself whatever I want. No one.
Oh, wait a minute. I think that's why he was saying it's Godfather 2, because there's that one scene in the Godfather 2 where they give Vito Corleone his last name.
Oh, is that? Oh, please.
Maybe his original name was Vito Andolini, but he was from Corleone, so they gave him the name Corleone. I guess that's where he gets the Godfather 2 from. It's still really stupid.
It is a dumb scene, and Major Lee is trying so hard to defend it because his premise is this film is underrated, therefore his name is underrated.
To boil it down, the reason why I don't name in the movie is because to me it kind of disrespects the legacy character. Because if he has to get his name, from a literal sense, then it should have been something that boosts his character.
Yes.
Like you said, maybe winning a cool battle, or maybe he's the last man standing of a Mexican standoff or something like that, because of the Western motif they want to bring into this movie.
Yeah, like,
but
if he joined the
disrespectful.
Empire and he was like he just survived, like he was the lone survivor, they would call him Solo, and he sort of got that as a badge of honor, and he just stuck
that would
with
have
it.
been perfect. That would have been good. It actually would have enhanced the character of Han Solo.
Yeah, you want to elevate your characters in a backstory. You don't want to this is my character name now.
Got to check off this box. All right, he's Han Solo now. Move on.
In the dumbest way possible. Yeah, here we go. Okay, Lee, let's see how great it is.
You want to call me Han Solo? I'll show you Han Solo. I think it really...
Yeah, throwing something at an Imperial soldier really sticks it to them because his last name is Solo.
The way he's arguing...
What?
His motivation here is that as if Solo was a slave name or something. Like they captured him.
It's like retribution or something. Like, what are you doing?
Like you want to call me Han Solo? It wasn't something hostile. It's just, all right, we got to have something to call you. So here you go.
And it seems as if he wanted to join the Empire. He wasn't forced to.
Yeah.
He wants to become a pilot and get some experience and make some money. It's like, okay.
There's no reason why he'd be hostile to them calling him Solo.
So the only reason he's against them in the original trilogy is because he's a smuggler and he's doing illegal stuff. So it didn't matter if it was the Republic. It didn't matter if it was the rebels. He'd still fight whoever was in his way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would work for the Imperials if they hired him.
Yeah.
So it's just that he's against anyone who stops him from making money. That makes sense for his character.
Yep.
really adds to the ballsy yet aloof nature of his character. Oh, look.
Yeah, I don't care that my name is Han Solo. I'm so ballsy.
Look, a reference to Trump.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, because of the kids, separating the kids from the parents sort of thing, which actually Trump stopped.
Really adds to the ballsy yet aloof nature of his character. Oh, look, a reference to Trump. Now,
Really? That's the thing?
I don't think that's a reference to Trump. I mean, everyone, they're being captured apparently, so they're being dragged off to the prisons. So do people break the law?
Well, anytime someone brings up Trump, I'm like, what? Why? What context? So because stormtroopers are dragging off kids in a detention center, like what?
Yeah, they're separating the kids from the parents. So I think that's a obvious reference to Trump.
Because no other president or no other country has these scenes at the border.
Nope, they never do. It's just Trump.
Just Trump.
Yeah, it's just Trump. Never existed before Trump's administration, even though it has.
really love that they use the Imperial March theme in this scene, and also in this scene. Too bad neither one of these moments are actually on the soundtrack. I mean, what, did the Empire not give them the rights to use that theme?
So wait a second, it's not in the movie?
I thought you just said it was in the movie. I don't remember that scene particularly well. Did they use it?
Maybe they did a variation, but I don't, like, if it is, then it is, but he's making it sound like as if it isn't. I'm confused.
I don't remember if it is or not.
Yeah, see, when Lee has ideas, they're not entirely well thought out, and you can't expect them to be well explained. So,
well, if they were thought out, I don't think this little video we made.
That is true. Yes.
Just seeing Woody do this,
Which is stupid. And if you
It's
can't
really
see
cool.
it, well,
It's really cool. It's just stupid.
you're standing at the top of a hill twirling your guns. It's kind of dark, so I can barely see the goddamn movie anyway. So, what the hell is he doing? I'll just stand here like a giant target and spin my weapon around.
I mean, I have to admit, I thought it looked cool. It's just really stupid. It would have been cooler if it were less stupid.
If he was like dodging and ducking and then spinning it while he was doing it, then it'd be like, okay, this dude's badass because he's, you know,
Does he have a type of? Are his guns like? Do they shoot better if you spin them around first?
they need to be shaken up. Yeah, there's like some liquid in them.
Are they like flails where you need to swirl them around a little bit before they actually do damage?
Thinking of Metal Gear Solid 3 with you can deflect bees, just for spinning his gun. Kojima levels of cinematography here.
Yeah, Kojima is a treasure.
He's a gold mine of comedy.
Is worth the price of admission. But to be honest,
Here we go. The Woody fanboyism. Any movie with Woody is great. It's just
Also, what are these uniforms? I have never seen these uniforms before. Are these enlisted men or
hard to say.
I don't even know if they're with the Empire or not. I can't really tell. I know they are, but
I know Woody seems to be a contractor mercenary with the Empire, but they call him a captain. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, according in the movie, he stole that uniform and he's actually a thief. Kind of got himself into this battle just to scope things out.
Hard to say.
According to the movie, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I would have liked a tiny bit of backstory into this battle. Who are they even fighting, and why?
Just one.
Wow, Lee is asking questions. I'm impressed.
Kind of breaking out of the fanboy mode.
It's like what's going on here, movie? It's like thank you.
Yeah, that would have been cool if we knew what they're fighting or what they're fighting about. And I personally wouldn't mind if they made this entire scene into a movie where we go over Han Solo's time in the Imperial Army, because it spans 3 years from his recruitment until this point.
And I'm very curious, like what that did to him. And it did nothing in terms of his character. He's still the same guy.
Apparently, it did nothing. So, but I just thought I think it'd be kind of cool to see him develop, in that movie, like see what he goes through, what kind of training it is, what friends he makes, that sort of thing. But kind of a war movie, because they have a little civil war motif going on in this little scene here.
It's hard to grasp because we're talking about whenever the Clone Wars took place and who these troops are and what war we're fighting, why. You need to provide that in a backstory of a character so that we understand his motivation as well as the scene he's in. And if we just have him, he's in conflict, and it's like, what does the conflict mean? What's the context of the conflict, and how does he grow as a result? Because using a time skip is very specific technique, and just to show it and show him, like it could have been 5 years, it could have been 2 months. There's no difference.
They say 3 years, and and on that point, this part of Han Solo's life takes up 3 years of it. So it's an establishing background into something that can be referenced later on. So it would raise the stakes for future movies, provide tension in future movies if we knew who Han was fighting, maybe who he killed, who he helped, who he saved, what he did during these battles he was in.
Yeah, like imagine he got Han shoot first by being one of the bad guys, and he was taught to, shoot first, ask questions later, or whatever. And that's because that's what the Imperials taught.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he spent 3 years, so he stayed with him for 3 years. So, like you said, it would have during those 3 years, he actually liked being in the Imperial Army. He found camaraderie because, at the beginning he was by himself. That's why he's called Han Solo now. So maybe he found friends that he came to love and respect. Maybe he found a leader he came to admire. And then during one of these little incursions into enemy territory, maybe he shot someone that he didn't want to shoot. Maybe he actually killed a mother. Maybe he killed a father who was just trying to protect his family, and that changed him. And now he wants to get out of the army and go back to his original mission, which is to return to Kira.
And that's why it would have been better if instead of having the happy-go-lucky, plucky sort of Han Solo that we were shown, who's the good guy, it would have been better if we had the bad sort of swarmy cocksure Han Solo who gets even harder. So he's not as hard as we see him in the movie, and then we see him even harder in the episode 4. So again, both ways can work. It just would have been easier and clearer if he started off as the Han Solo that we sort of would have recognized, provided he was not as hard.
Right. And like to me, they missed a huge opportunity for character development by just time skipping over this war era of his life.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. If they would have shown even a smidgen of hardening, or a scar, or a wound, or some friends he lost, or the dice meaning something aside from just being dice again.
Yeah, because in the New Hope, Han Solo, he doesn't care about anyone or anything. He just cares about getting his cut, and that's it. So he's obviously a character who has experienced loss, experienced pain in the past, where he's become, you know, detached from everyone around him, except for, of course, Chewbacca.
Yeah, it would have been cool if Chewbacca was his actual feelings and heart and all the camaraderie instilled in a person, and he was just the logical sort of get by, survive on your wits, take advantage sort of character. And he would always rely on Chewie to be that sort of scenario. I thought they were going to do like a Wookiee life debt sort of thing where he saves Chewie's life, and Chewie's like, dude, what you did was so important to me. I need you to I need to follow you and respect your life and all that. And he's like, why? That's what Wookiees do. He's like, no, stop that. And Chewie keeps going like a dog who just won't leave his master. And eventually Han's like, okay, you're my friend, fine, whatever. I'll respect your weird culture. And that would have been like, oh, this is awesome. Like Chewie would have been even cooler.
It gives it more character.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been necessary because Chewie's still Chewie. But, and plus this is a story about Han. But
it would have conveyed, if that were the case, it would have conveyed to the audience that Chewbacca is not just this guy who walks around who's really strong. He's a guy who has principles and convictions.
Yeah, in much the same way that Han Solo in Episode 4 was like Luke's hero because he saved him and whatever.
Right.
Chewie could have been Han's hero, and also Han's heart and Han's feelings, because Han is pretty much straightforward and I want my money, da da da.
Yeah, he's just, I want what's mine and that's it. I want to
and
do easy money, that sort of thing.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when you personify a character or personify an idea through another character, like a side character or a supporting character, it's a lot easier to showcase struggle, conflict, choice, all the character development traits that you need in a movie or a story, as opposed to just focusing on the one character and saying, well, how complex is this dude to go from happy to losing a girlfriend and then bringing her back and then not even bothering with an arc, as opposed to starting him off not as low as he used to be, or maybe even lower than what we think he's going to be, and then showing a guy who brings him up or brings him down, and then easing him into the role of Episode 4. Okay, there was so many ways to do it with all the elements in play, and they just did not execute. It's a basic storytelling thing to look at and not correct. But again, so many reshoots, so many script changes. We don't know exactly what happened. So.
Right. And one thing I thought they should have done was focus more on the relationship building between Han Solo and Chewie, because Chewie seems more like he's just added on, and the relationship developments between Kira and Han. So I don't know. It's just strange that way to me.
Wondering what our objective is, Lieutenant.
Yeah, you said it. I think this is my favorite line in the whole film.
I'm Han. Nobody cares.
Woody. Now, I'm really glad that the subtitles in this part were not burned into the film, because I found them very unnecessary. It was something really stupid, like, you take big stick, make boom boom, and we get out. I mean, we get what they're trying to do.
So we get who we need. The Zan sisters, or Bosk.
I just love that they got Tandy Newton to say the name Bosk. I could just imagine her reading the screenplay for the first time. She was probably like, what the fuck is a Bosk? Then there are some
I just... They got Tandy New. Thank you, Lee. We know the cast. Doesn't make it good.
References that I really could have done without.
Oh, some references are bad. Here we go.
No, you've never been to a Minoc roast on Ardinia. It's nuts.
Ugh. Whether you know what a Minoc is or not, that line isn't funny. You know what's a lot better than referencing something? Actually putting it in the film. I'd much rather see a Minoc or Bosk than just hearing about them. Now, people bitched at this scene.
Okay, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but it's just a reference. You're angry at a reference because you're not Star Wars enough? Is that it?
It's a quick reference. It didn't really detract from the movie. That character who said it, though, just reminds me of Rocket Raccoon a lot.
Yeah, that came to my mind. I was like,
It's like, Rocket Raccoon, welcome to this movie.
What I thought of was this the original pilot, or was this the third pilot? Because if you remember when he's in the camp or whatever, when they're after the war, he's like, I'm a pilot. It's like, well, there's another guy with a mask on. Well, I'm already the pilot. We don't need a second one. And I'm not sure if that's the same guy.
Oh yeah, it's the same. The guy with the mask where they're in the camp. It's the same guy. He was just in disguise.
Okay, all right.
When the trailer came out. Duh, we already know Chewbacca lives. What's the point of this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about whether they live or die.
No, it's the way that scenes were presented and everything. No, it's not about the friendship. It's about they're presenting it like, will Chewbacca live or die? Come and find out.
Yeah.
And the movie, yeah, after that part, yeah, it's like, oh hey, I guess I saved your life and we're kind of friends now. But the way that scene in particular was presented was, oh no, stakes are really high because Chewie might die here.
Right.
It was clearly like they're presenting it that way.
That's a fine form of making a trailer. Show dangerous scenes that cut very quickly, with not enough context to wrap your head around. Like, oh my God, what is that? And you're like, next scene, you're like, oh.
And it would have worked a lot better if we didn't know that Chewbacca was going to live. Like, it's not even conjecture that he's going to live. It's proven fact that he lives through this.
It's about seeing how they became friends.
Little close there, buddy.
Han saves his life, and it's an adorable moment.
Thinking about opening a cantina somewhere warm, but not too warm, you know?
Will somebody put a muzzle on that thing? His references have nothing to do with the scene. They're just...
That racist?
He's just talking, and he's showcasing his character, I guess.
And showing how he pilots a ship and what he does.
He's so good at a pilot, he could have off-the-cuff commentary about, I don't know, whatever he wants. It's like, okay, it's not very helpful. I mean, it's interesting that Lee's talking like this because, he wants the character to talk about the scene. It's like, sure, but he's showing you what's happening. He's piloting the thing, and it's like he's showing you and not telling you things. And Lee doesn't like it because there's too much other peripheral information, I guess.
Seems that way.
Like, I'm not really offended. I'm just like, what's a Mylock? Or I don't remember. But that's not my fault.
Yeah, I don't know what those things are called.
Yeah, like it's like someone with lore has all the lore in front of them. He's a writer, can put in all the references they want, and within reason, they can do whatever they like. And for Lee to say, "Oh, geez, this is so annoying," like, it's like, well, do you know what a Mylock is? If not, well, you have all these books and whatever to reference that to go up to speed. It's not really the narrative's job to explain lore that has already been showcased.
Right, unless it's pertinent to the plot.
Exactly. And in this scene, it's like we don't need... Yeah, I could watch the scene without volume and I'll still understand what's going on, so I don't see the problem here.
Yeah.
Shoehorned in. Now, the theme song for Enfys Nest is amazing. It sounds like a bunch of little Enfys Nests are singing.
How? How does he know what Enfys Nest sings like, let alone sounds like?
You don't even know who this character is yet.
It's like fanboy, gush, gush, gush. The music is so good.
Sing? Is this character sing in the extended? Is this character in the extended universe, and does this character sing or something? Because there's no way that.
Well, I think I think he just got caught up on the character, And you know what? How to describe how gushy he was? It's like as if there's 10 of them and they're singing in a choir. It's like, okay.
I mean, now it does. The music does make it sound. It gives it like a tribal sort of feel, which is kind of like how they are.
Exactly. Like when I heard it, I thought, oh, this is a female character.
Yeah,
it gives that feeling because it's a female choir.
And it does give you like the mindset of what these people are like.
Exactly. Music is great that way. Yeah.
The music works. It's just not how he describes it.
No, he's not very good at explaining why this works. It's kind of cute though, because he's trying to say it's a female choir, and therefore the character might be female, but we don't know, and it's a sense of mystery, and that's like I sort of rolled my eyes. I was expecting an older woman, not a younger girl, when she was revealed, but like, yeah, it's a neat little sort of obvious thing.
It's a subversion of expectations. Taken to a little too extreme. I think it's a little too much of subversion.
It's not subtle enough for my taste, but for the average viewer, this was actually not a bad thing. It's a good piece of music. It's fine. A bit too intense, I think, because they're fighting on a train. Like how much, like the scene is good enough. I mean, you don't need...
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. It's just a train. It's not like they're fighting on a falling ship or like exploding planet.
It's not
or
like
something.
they're like a tribal and they're fighting in a tribal war and it's like this crazy hand-to-hand thing. Oh, I guess it gets kind of CQC-ish, but it feels too futuristic to have that tribal vibe. I think. Yeah.
And watching her fight Beckett, is just undeniably cool. I think we can all agree we need more stuff like this. You know, although...
we need more sensational fight scenes?
To me, that she has like way too many powers. I think the fight would have been a lot cooler if it was more of like she just used a plain bow staff or something, or just punches and kicks and stuff.
I like episode 4 better, where it's all this meaning and subtext as opposed to flashy jumps and kicks, and he's saying we need more of it, and I'm like, no, I want there to be a meaning behind why they're like, if we had a backstory of why she was punching and so quick and so strong, I'd be like, oh,
a lot more substance to it. Yeah. So if we if they had mentioned early on that maybe this particular character had maybe they were like rivals, like Woody's character and this character had clashed together multiple times in the past or something, at least a bit more substance, add more substance to this fight now.
Yes, we want there to be substance. We don't want stretched out substance. We want there to be something there and once, and to have meaning for the one time and not repeat it. Give us a different meaning for another fight scene, or give us some creative aspect about the character, like they take their mask off and it's like
something like that, make it more impactful. Or as it's presented now, it's just a fight scene. Like it's just a one-dimensional fight scene.
They want the fuel. They have the fuel. Let's go get the fuel. It's like, okay, great.
I was kind of annoyed by his references. I was really sad when Rio died.
Oh, okay. So you don't like the character, but you do like the character. That's great. Okay.
He ends up telling Han something that will motivate him to keep fighting for Kira.
It's no good to die alone, kid.
He wasn't all just useless.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he's lying there, because no one was sad when this character died. I mean, come on, we knew this character for a handful of minutes.
And let's try to remember how he died. He had he's a guy with 4 arms. He was driving while he was fighting off another dude with a blaster. He got shot in the shoulder,
and then died.
And it's like a laser bolt, so there's no blood. And I don't know too much about alien physiology, but I'm assuming that there's no major arteries on the shoulder.
Maybe their hearts are in the shoulders or something.
Yeah, it's possible. So him dying, and we don't know what he did between when he got shot, aside from sitting there. So was he patching himself up? Doesn't look like it. So he was just out of commission, and then he dies. It's like, what were you doing?
It'd be kind of funny if he didn't actually die. He just like passed out and he thought he died.
Like if you have 4 arms, you get shot anywhere, aren't you going to be holding the wound with one of your arms, one of your hands?
Yeah, you can do that. Help if there's blood, stop the bleeding.
I would do that with my right arm, both my right arms. And I'd be like, oh, I could stop it because I have so many arms.
And I mean, they missed out on another huge opportunity for impactful and meaningful character deaths, because they should have kept, in my opinion, they should have kept Woody's crew alive until the very end and then have them die, because that way we have more, they're fleshed out more, rather than one-dimensional comedic relief character, one-dimensional cynic, skeptical character, and then Woody Harrelson's character in the gang.
Well, there's plenty of characters in the story. Whether they were all needed is another question. So
yeah, I know that if they had gone that route, it would have made kind of a character overload. But they should, at that point, they should have cut some of the characters we meet later on, so we can have these, and just keep the core primary people.
Well, these are two heists. There's two heists in this, or two or three heists in this movie, and none of them are done particularly well.
Yeah,
so,
I have to agree on that one. I really like heist movies. I watch a lot of heist movies.
Yeah.
These didn't feel like actual heists.
They felt like thrown together. Let's get this, and then this happens, and then jump on the thing. It's like, what if something doesn't work out that way?
Like I said, this is like it feels like they're just checking off boxes. Like, we need this kind of movie. Here's what we need this sort of movie. Let's just put the little ingredients together. Start checking off those boxes.
Yeah, if you have the most iconic scavenger or smuggler kind of guy in the biggest franchise, you are going to make a heist movie, and you better make a darn good story of planning out your heist and all that details and minutia. They just go crazy. What do we get? A bunch of guys die.
Like, if they wanted to revolve the plot around this heist, which it eventually does, or everything does revolve around how well this heist goes. I mean, it's the Kessel Run. It's the famous Han Solo Kessel Run. Then it should have been all about this heist, like every detail, all the elements, kind of like an Ocean's 11 sort of thing.
Yeah, everyone has a role, and again, that could have been another explanation for how Han got his name. He was the last guy to make it out alive, or he was the formation of one of the, again, if they want to go the rebel route with this stupid bunch of scavenger people who are going to be the rebellion or some nonsense, it's like, all right, Han sort of helped that, like, just stuff like even I hate that idea, but it's just like, give it something, give me some reason.
Give the audience something. And if they had done it where it's mostly a heist movie revolving around the heist, then it would have been more focused, and they could have put more work in the actual details. They could have put more work in character development, everything.
Yeah, well, we got a train scene, which is kind of cool, but
train scene is cool, but unless it's the focus of the entire plot,
if it's not explained why, like I sort of liked it because I thought, okay, well, in order to make all this fuel, you have to refine it, and then in order to refine it, you have to go to a certain place. And the people who would do that were people who don't own starships, because they need the fuel for the starships, and thus, you use lower tech as you get higher and higher. So it would make sense that people without starships would do this, but at the same time, it'd be like, well, if the Empire just wants it, why doesn't the Empire say, hey, give us all your unrefined fuel, we'll use our starship, we'll go to where we need to go, we'll go to the planet, refine it, and then we'll pay you. And it's like, oh. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So,
maybe too much sense.
Yeah. Well, again, all they had to do was fill in those holes, and I would have liked this scene a lot better. But because it's sort of thrown together and whatever, it's like it wasn't enough detail. They had like some, but not enough to make the whole scene at least lampshade all the problems in it. But that's what we got.
References after all. Alright, he only made 2. I should really cut him some slack. Now, how can you not love Dryden's ship, yacht, whatever you call it?
Because I don't know if it's a yacht, ship, whatever you call it. Is it a hotel? Is it like a... like, what is this thing?
That would be pretty neat if it was a hotel.
It looks like a flying hotel. With floors, and there's like a bar on one floor, and then there's like a suite.
Lounge.
Yeah, it's like this is a swanky hotel.
Penthouse.
Yeah,
it makes sense if it were a hotel.
He's like a traveling hotel. I don't know, maybe black market thing. I don't know.
The hotel comes to you, I guess. That'd be kind of cool.
I got some drugs. I got some hookers. I got some jet fuel. and some drinks. And a lounge singer. In style.
Although once again, why isn't this little green guy on the soundtrack? They actually replaced his voice with someone else. What, did they have trouble getting the rights to this little green thing? I mean, what is up with this soundtrack? The moment where Han finally finds Kira is so bittersweet.
And contrived and out of the blue and has no reference to like the 3-year time skip and where did she come from? How did this happen? What a coincidence.
Nope, she's here now. Like his whole goal was to find her again, and problem solved.
One
Why
hand,
is she
it's
here?
great because he's so happy to see her. On the other hand, it's great because it's heartbreaking as shit. Because why the fudge is she working on Dryden's yacht?
Yes, thank you. That doesn't make it. What did you just say? Let me just rewind it there.
The soundtrack. They actually replaced his voice with someone else. After all. And that shot right there of after all. And that after all backstory. And now she's by far the most interesting character. More like it see her. On the other hand, it's voice with someone else.
Oh, sorry.
What, did they have trouble getting the rights to this little green thing? I mean, what is up with this soundtrack? The moment where Han finally finds Kira is so bittersweet. On one hand, it's great because he's so happy to see her. On the other hand, it's great because it's heartbreaking as shit. Because why the fudge is she working on Dryden's yacht? Seeing her here immediately tells us that she has this hidden, dark, mysterious backstory. And
it's bittersweet. I just like.
He said this reunion was heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It's bittersweet. It's bad because what the hell is she doing here? Yeah, it's all a bundle of contrivance, buddy. It's bad writing.
It's not heartbreaking. It'd be heartbreaking if she turned out to be like a clone of the original one, or
this is a good thing. This came out of it's wow, you're here. It's what I've always wanted.
Like if this were played by if it were another girl came up and she was wearing something that was once Kira's or something, or maybe if this is Kira's clone because the original one had been lost somewhere, then maybe it'd be heartbreaking or something.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And then Han's like, "What do I do? Is it? Do you have her memories? Do you know who I am?" And that would be interesting. This isn't heartbreaking. This is the opposite of heartbreaking.
This is she's here now. Okay, it's kind of weird.
But now she's interesting because because of contrivance, she's the most interesting character.
And then he goes into how they're walking together down this room,
which is fun.
And it's kind of like you forget. Okay, it's been 3 years, and the last time he saw her, she was being dragged away by Imperial officers. And then they have one brief, grateful, I'm glad to see you hug, and then they're just walking with each other they saw each other yesterday. Where have you been? How you been? What's going on? What happened? It's very low energy.
Now she's by far the most interesting character in the story, because now the very thing that Han was fighting for is looking more and more like it could be his downfall after all.
No. Where are you getting this? He hasn't seen her in 3 years. Suddenly she's here, and she's the most interesting character because she might be Han's downfall. What are you talking about, buddy?
Also, he presents, even if that were true and she did somehow become the most interesting character in the movie from that moment, he presents that like it's a good thing. This movie is not called Kira. This movie is called Solo. Han Solo should be the most, interesting character in the movie.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we could argue about what makes a good antagonist and how the antagonist has to be mysterious, but he's already jumping to, well, this is going to be his downfall. It's like, why, where, how, why? He's been doing nothing but trying to get back to her after 3 years of escaping and whatever, holding on to the dice and whatever I have no idea what he's been doing trying to get back to her. So the fact that he finds her again. Sorry?
I guess he's playing on the femme fatale trope, from everywhere, everywhere else you see this sort of character in, where she's the bad. She's lures in the innocent
Right.
protagonist,
Right,
and then
yeah.
eventually turns on him or something like that.
That works within a noir or within a murder mystery concept, I guess. With space opera, it's a little different because everything's so strange and weird. So you can sort of use the mysterious vibe still, but it's a combination of other things like she's seducing him away from something, but he's not going away from her. He's going into her. He's going into the life of being a scoundrel, and she just happens to be there. So there's no downward thing. This is an upward. It's like, oh my goodness, where did you come from? This is good.
I mean, you might be able to get that vibe if, like, until now, maybe Han Solo has found someone else, like someone who's better, like a more virtuous, more virtuous girl that he's attracted to.
Right.
And if Kira were presented as more of a dark-sided scoundrel, and then now when you get to this part, she might be his downfall because he's been, going towards this more virtuous girl and becoming more virtuous himself, and then she represents the dark side that's pulling him back.
Yeah, right.
That could have been a signal for maybe she's going to signal his downfall, but not
Right.
as
Like,
it's presented.
imagine he met up a girl with Beckett or something, and the girl was still alive or part of his team, and they were just forming a relationship or whatever, being friends. And then Kira pops in, and you're just like, whoa. That might mean something, but as it is, this is nothing but good and contrived. And by good, I don't mean contrived as good, but I mean good as to Han. Oh, this is what I want. I've been looking for this. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
So there's nothing negative here.
Plot wise, it's just something that happens. Like, there's no lead up to it. It's just she's there now.
And that shot right there of them walking together, you just know that this is about to get interesting.
They're ordering drinks? Okay.
All right.
It could be.
I haven't seen you in 3 years, and how you doing? All right, let's just casually walk around and have some drinks.
It's going to be interesting, man. Talking. Look out.
This is quality right here.
No, it's not quality, you numbskull.
How is this quality? Explain to me how this is quality.
They're walking. If there was something implied, sure, but there's nothing implied. They say, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, it's going to get interesting. This is quality. No, that's not how quality works.
And we have no reason to take anything other than face value. The only thing that's, might be interesting is why she's here, which is a natural thing to ask, and that she's here for some reason. And we see the tattoo, which means that she's obviously thrown her lot in with some syndicate or some group.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that could be interesting, but it's just like, how does Lee know it's going to get interesting? I don't.
He's seen the rest of the movie.
Like, apparently, I guess he found it interesting after he saw it. Yeah.
However, Paul Bettany, we fucking love you, but I think they really screwed over Dryden in this story. He wasn't given nearly as much mystery as Beckett and Kira, and I think it would have been a little more interesting if Han and the audience thought that Dryden was a good guy at first. Maybe him and Han really hit it off, but then Beckett and Kira start warning Han that he's evil, and eventually all three of them turn on Han. Instead, we get this kind of one-dimensional villain that's just always bad. But then again, it's also very reminiscent of an old school crime flick where there's a bad guy that's just plain bad.
Yeah, let's compare this bad guy who you have admitted is bad as a character, compare it to some pulpy B movies back in the day, and say, yeah, it's all right. 100 years ago.
You just said this character's bad, and then actually, if you think about it, it's all right because it's a reference to these old pulpy movies, which I can see because George Lucas actually took inspiration from these sorts of movies, the Flash Gordons and things like that. But he's the two-dimensional villain he's talking about. He just goes from it's bad, his character's bad, but it's good.
It's like, make up your mind. Do you like it or you don't like it?
You can actually see like the fanboy in him fighting with the logical side in him.
And he's trying to like cover it up by like, look at this other movie that also has this bad thing, but that's why it's okay. It's like, no, that's not how this works, Lee.
Also, the fact that Dryden was originally a half lion, half human, played by The Wire's Michael K. Williams, just makes this seem pretty fucking lame. Why could...
Yeah, it sucks. We know that. We don't need to compare it to the original premise. It sucks. We get it.
And they just put Paul Bettany in the lion costume. Give us a compromise here. I always thought his little blow up here seemed kind of random.
Test me. Test me one more time, you see what happens.
The deleted extent...
I don't think that was random. I mean, he just... At that point in the movie, they just lost this enormous shipment of highly valuable goods.
What was random was his 180 where he's like, well, I can't let you go because you work for me, so I'm going to have to kill you. And then he's like, Emmett's like, we won't tell anyone. He's like, oh, okay. You can go now. But I'll bring you my number one lieutenant with you because I don't trust you. It's like, what?
You just defeated the purpose of this. Because I think their whole plan was that, okay, I'm not going to let you go because I have alliances with these people. And then they're like, we don't have alliances with it. No one knows who we are. Okay, you can go on that premise. But I'm also going to send Kira with you, who is my second in command.
It's just like, that is where it's stupid. This is him just getting angry because he's the guy in charge and not getting what he wants.
Yeah, also, I think in the movie he's being pressured by higher-ups, that he's supposed to give that shipment to the higher-ups. And if he doesn't deliver, then he's going to get punished. So he's not only is he angry about losing a bunch of highly valuable goods, he's also under pressure from people who are above him that in a syndicate they might just kill him.
Yeah, it's called being in a crime boss scenario. You know, you have to appease your bosses and do what they ask, and then it goes down the chain. Pretty simple.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Ended scene of Han eating the crab leg really should not have been cut from the film. Not just because it's hilarious, but mainly because Dryden's little blow-up makes a lot more sense when you actually see more of a lead up to it. Kira, on the other hand, is getting more complex by the minute. As soon as she hears Dryden say that he'll kill them if they fail, she's reminded that she loves Han. And this is the moment where she starts getting pulled to the light, so to speak. It's kind of like when Vader and Luke started interacting and it began Vader's pull to the light. Same with Kylo and Rey. So now it's not just Han's debate, but
Kylo and Rey. Trying to compare anything to those two is not a good idea. But apparently Kira's getting more interesting by the minute
I guess so.
For being part of a crime boss or a crime syndicate. It's like, okay, sure.
Like, the only thing that's been added onto her character at that point is that she loves Han, or the feelings she has about him are implied. But we already knew that because of the making out scenes that he didn't like.
Yeah, but apparently this one's more subtle about it.
Maybe that is the reason why he likes it more. I don't know.
It's hard to grasp what he's trying to explain here, but okay, he's more interesting because reasons.
Kira's too, and we're not sure how either one of them is going to deal with the outcome, so the stakes have just been raised by a lot.
No, they're exactly the same. Their lives are still in danger. They have to deliver on their promise, and whether Kira came along or not wouldn't have changed that, aside from she possibly dying as well. So
yeah, its circumstances remain the same. They still need to get the same goods that they've lost already, and it's just going on the same trail. I mean, I don't know really what he's coming from here.
Yeah.
But does Han have to be so goofy in this scene?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. That's a very, very good one.
And now let's finally get to Lando.
Everything you've heard about me is true. Thanks, love.
See, that would have been a great opportunity for a joke. I heard you had an orgy with a bunch of R2 units. Everything but that. The music during...
He's really hung up on this droid sex thing, isn't he?
Yeah. He mentions it a lot in this video.
It's like, dude, let it go.
And when he reaches like the conversation, it's just like it's like, yeah, I'm glad she approves of droid sex. I'm glad she doesn't look disgusted. She looks happy about it. What is your obsession with droid sex?
I don't, yeah.
During the first Sabacc scene is really fucking good. On one hand, it sounds nothing like Star Wars, but on the other hand, it's filled with these subtle little motifs and references to other themes. I love that they...
That was not Star Wars? Really? That was like as Star Wars as it gets. Bunch of gamblers in a cantina, bunch of aliens cheating.
Yeah, I mean, the even from the original trilogy, the slummy underbelly of society was prominently held up as the main scene for these sorts of movies. Like Star Wars is riddled with crime and gambling and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I just okay. Whatever he's projecting, I'm glad he likes it, but it's just okay.
I mean, this scene did remind me a lot of Casino Royale, which is a movie I liked a lot. I do like the gambling part.
They gave L3 these wide hips. It really fits well with her sassy character. And also, if you watch the behind-the-scenes featurette on L3, they explain that she's actually made up of other parts from random droids. And those sassy hips are actually from an R2 unit. Well, that totally explains the sass. Now, I know I've...
Okay.
Sassy.
I never got that from the legs, honestly.
He doesn't like a man and woman making out, but he's just really, really hooked on all the droid sex. It's icky if it's people, but it's cool if it's a robot.
Maybe that's his thing. We don't know. It's just strange for him to focus on that.
It's Rule 34 of Star Wars.
Bitched a lot about things that are missing from the soundtrack, but there are also great pieces of music that are on the soundtrack, but are missing from the film. The track titled Lando's Closet features this one crescendo that is just magnificent. Oh my god.
Jesus, dude, calm down.
Is it magnificent?
Is it?
Is it really? It sounds generic to me.
It sounds like an orchestra and... It sounds
like every swooning, every swooning sound you hear in every sort of romantic scene of almost every movie.
I think he just uses YouTube to gush and to get it out of his system because he can't fantasize about droid sex anymore. He's like, oh, this music is so good. This crescendo is just amazing. It's the best. Best ever.
Doesn't sound amazing to me. It just sounds generic to me.
It's John Williams. It's good. It's not great. It's not, it's music.
Ugh. But when you actually watch the film, they cut this music off right before the best part.
Okay, so that means the film is not as good.
Cut the music off.
He's been knocking it down a notch and then trying to defend it. It's just funny.
Yeah, it's really like you can see the logical part of his brain. Oh, this movie's bad, and then his fanboy comes in, but it's really good, and they're just wrestling with each other, trying to find reasons why it's good.
Yeah, it's like he's having an argument in his own mind. He's like, "Oh, the music is amazing," and it's like, "But this scene is so bad.
This part is so terrible." But actually, no, wait a minute, it's good. It's good for these reasons. This villain is so terrible. He's so two-dimensional, but it's really good. A really good villain because Pulps did it.
Oh, this guy.
Am I interrupting something?
Kinda.
Good.
I guarantee this scene was originally longer, and that really good part of the song was probably playing under an unnecessary extended makeout moment that they decided to cut, because fuck that. Speaking...
Okay, so he didn't want the scene because it was a makeout moment.
So now he wants he's complaining because he wants a longer makeout moment.
Okay, so the music is great, the scene was bad, the scene should have been cut. You're like, wait, that means the music gets cut. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my god, this guy.
of that, I love Kira's reaction to hearing about robot sex. Instead of being weirded out or disgusted, she's just like, oh, I think that's just so nice. That is just great.
They didn't actually talk. They did not actually talk about robot sex.
Yeah, they didn't. He's like, how's that work? It works.
Yeah, and she says it's love. It's like, oh, they actually like, or at least L3 thinks she's in love or thinks it is love. Whatever her programming thinks love is.
And
that's it.
And that face she made didn't say to me that she was, oh, that's good. It looks like she was weirded out to me. Like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, there's nothing sexual about it. There's nothing implying a sexual relationship. It's just like, it's love. You can have a love between a man and his toaster. You can. Doesn't have to involve genitalia or implied genitalia. This is, I mean,
I guess it could be like the same kind of love a man has with his car.
Yeah. He admires his car. He likes his car. It's his favorite car.
Wants to take care of it.
The difference is the car speaks back and has a personality. That's it.
Yeah, we don't have those yet.
But because it's Major Lee, it's clearly sex. in whatever way we don't know, because there's no other mention. There's zero mention of it. I don't know what he's talking about.
I think he just needs this. Like, he needs this to be true.
I hope so. I hope that's it, because that would explain something. Because I don't know where he's getting this. Because maybe I missed it, or like, what is he going on about?
I am glad that Chewie ripped somebody's arms off in the film. I wish it happened in The Force Awakens to Kylo Ren, but hey.
Okay, I don't wish it happened to Kylo Ren, because to me, in the new Star Wars movies, Kylo Ren is one of the more interesting characters, in my opinion.
Maybe the first film. I think the second film got a little bipolar there. So
yeah, in the first film, I'm not sure if I've seen The Last Jedi, but I did see Force Awakens, and I remember that one. And to me, Kylo Ren seemed the most complex, the most interesting character in the movie. I think they would have done better if they made Kylo Ren the main character, because we haven't really had that in a Star Wars movie yet, where, you know, in the original trilogy, you got Luke. He's a son of a Jedi. You know, and he becomes like a powerful, good Jedi on the light side. He's a champion for the light side. We had a chance of having Kylo Ren, who is actually on the opposite trend, where he's a follower of the dark side. He's angry, he's full of rage and everything, and it'd be kind of cool to see an opposite journey from him.
Well, I wouldn't mind it if he actually did lose his arms, because then he'd be closer to Darth Vader, and he'd be like,
robot arms.
He'd be like fanboying so hard. He'd be like, "I'm just like my grandfather."
Yeah, Kylo Ren is a Vader fanboy in that movie.
Yeah. So he get even angrier, and he just try and kill that stupid Wookiee, and then try and force choke him with his robot arms, which he doesn't have control over yet.
That'd be interesting.
Hey, I'll take what I get.
Terrace Kasi.
So fucking unnecessary. That game isn't even good.
Oh, that was impressive.
Yeah, him hitting someone in the helmet and knocking them out, that is impressive. Chewie on the other.
Yeah.
He must have hit him really hard.
Exactly.
I think that happened actually in the Return of the Jedi, with all of the Ewoks. They started hitting the stormtroopers in the head, and they started knocking them out.
Right.
I think it's just a popular, or just a common trope you see in these sci-fi adventures, where you get the guards, you hit them in the helmet, and they just fall down unconscious. Because
it's as if the helmet is designed to protect against concussions, and they just get concussions anyway.
But in these sorts of movies, the helmets aren't there to protect them. The helmets are there to hide their face. So we dehumanize them, and we sympathize more with the protagonist when they have to do morally questionable things. So that's really why the helmets are there. And it's not really to protect them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hand, this part is just like Chewie combat porn, and I fucking love it. Okay, try to tell me this isn't amazing. Lando is fighting off enemies in front of the Falcon.
by standing there in the middle of the open.
He's not even trying to dodge or anything. He's just standing there and looking mildly annoyed that people are shooting at him.
Which means there's zero tension. We know he can't die.
I mean, they could at least made him look like he's worried about getting shot.
Like hide or at least like show some fear. Make us care what's happening to you. Not just, I'm Lando. I'm going to shoot guys.
It's like they pulled this scene from a comedy, like a parody of Star Wars.
Yeah. He's just standing there like, I'm Lando. Boom, boom, haha.
It's like they're purposely trying to make the joke that these characters aren't going to die, and they know they're not going to get shot, so he's just standing around like an idiot.
Yeah, it's just this whole scene, the whole heist scene gone wrong is just, it's like Kira comes back after 10 minutes, throws some grenades. It's like, where were you?
Like, what's with all the subterfuge? Why not just walk in and walk out with all the goods you need to steal? Not gonna get shot anyway.
They're not going to stop you. I mean, like, what was the droid revolt all about? Like, what?
I guess it calls a distraction.
Yeah, they didn't really stop much. It's just
the droids got free, and they freed all the slaves.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't like thought out. Like this was all just random. Like Chewie just splits off from Han. Han does all the work, and L3 just starts doing random. It's like, come on, did you guys plan anything out?
It just fell apart instantly.
Yeah, it's like, oh, run away. It's like, shoot everyone. Okay.
Sees Han coming out with the coaxium. He throws Han his blaster. Han catches it. Oh, fuck me in the ass! How could you not love this scene?
Because there's no excitement. Because there's two characters who won't die.
Because you see how casually that happened? He just, just casually walked up to Lando. Lando just tossed him his gun, and Han caught it like nothing's going on, and he started shooting. It's like they're filming this whole thing in a green screen or something. There's one of those green screen rooms.
I would have thought they used the turret to shoot everyone down in the maybe they did, but it's just like, why are you standing outside the armored vehicle that has a turret? Just go in there, use the turret, blow people away with the higher caliber weapon, and then 10 minutes later Kira comes out with grenades. You're like, okay.
Rule of cool. It's a lot cooler that they're standing out there in the middle of a firefight with no cover.
Yeah.
The part where L3 gets shot is the single best moment in the entire film.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
This is a great moment. I was like, yes, that robot is finally dead. That robot,
that annoying, stupid robot.
Yeah, that robot really made it almost a film unbearable for me the whole time. I was like, yes. Yes, he's right. That is a great moment in the movie.
Lando is just incredible here. He does this badass slide.
Whoa, he slides on the sand or whatever the...
He does a slide.
It's like watching baseball, only in Star Wars. It's badass.
And just tries so hard to rescue her. I've seen this movie 5 times.
I think Han should have been in that place. Like, instead of Lando doing that, I think Han should have been doing that. Like running in to rescue L3, and then that would help him form a bond with Lando, because Lando clearly cares about that robot.
That's interesting. Yeah, you want the protagonist in as many scenarios as possible.
Yeah,
so,
that's basically it's a good rule to go by. Just save most of the really hardcore cool things for the guy that's supposed to be doing them, like your protagonist.
Yeah, these are side characters, and one of them is going to die if not already dying.
Yeah,
and it's like, do we care? No one really liked them. Lando's kind of weird and immortal, so.
And also, would like to see Han do this, because throughout the whole movie, there's nothing really that binds Lando with Han. Like, when you see Lando Calrissian in the original movie, he's in, then they seem like they have a good relationship. Obviously not a trustworthy one, but they seem to be friends. Here, there's nothing really that ties them together, other than they were on a heist together once, and then he beat him in a game at the end. So, since they're trying to establish the backstory for Han Solo in this movie, I think it would have been a lot better if Han was the one that saved L3 and then brought him in. That would have made a better connection between Han and Lando. Or at least set a better foundation for it.
Better yet, let's imagine that Lando got stuck by that pole falling, and Han went to go save him, and Lionel's like, save L3, and he's like trying to save L3, and she falls apart. And then L3's like, go save Lando, and I'm like, oh shit, what the hell? He's like stuck.
That small little change would have instantly made the scene much more emotional, much more impactful.
Right.
Times, and I choked up at this part every time. You ever actually get choked up? It feels like somebody just punched you in the throat. That is what this scene does to me. And when Chewie is carrying Lando, carrying what's left of L3, I mean, let's be real. Then the battle ends with Han just...
I'm sorry, he gets choked up. How many times did he see this?
It said 5 times.
And he gets choked up okay, if you get choked up over a droid getting shot and destroyed 5 times when you know it's happening, you have something wrong with you. This might explain this whole fetish that he's got with...
that's probably why he gets choked up. It's like, oh man, the droid sex.
The hips, all the hips are gone. They fell off the bot.
I'm pretty sure this droid is his favorite character of this whole movie.
That's for obvious reasons, yeah. Like, I get it if it was like an actual fembot, like it looked attractive, but this is like a robot.
I know. It's just a vaguely humanoid-looking robot.
It's creepy as hell, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Blasting his way back into the Falcon, finishing the scene. Come on! And just when you're feeling like...
What is he saying? Come on. Like, what do you want from me? Don't you care? Isn't it dramatic? No.
It's a neat little transition, I thought, but it wasn't fantastic. It was just, all right, they're in the Falcon now. So now we can move on to the next scene.
Yeah, you have 3 invincible characters who can't die. Why should I give a shit?
3 invincible characters. I am on the edge of my seat.
There's no tension. It's like, oh, one invincible character is carrying another invincible character. It's like, fuck. What are you doing, movie? Like, stop this.
Like this film is really picking up momentum. Boom. You know, I almost forgot I was watching a Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah, it's totally forgot. This is Star Wars movie.
I forgot I was watching a Star Wars movie. That's probably something you shouldn't say while you're watching a Star Wars movie. Because people come for the Star Wars when they come, when they buy a ticket for a Star Wars movie.
It's so underrated. The Star Wars movie. It's not a Star Wars movie. Like, I forgot.
They came for the Star Wars, not Unforgiven.
No, The Godfather Part 2 in 2001. And about a dozen other movies.
American Graffiti.
It's a Star Wars movie. Oh yeah, okay, great. Let's keep watching.
Seeing Han bump the Falcon into the TIE Fighter. I think I'm starting to remember what I'm watching here.
What? Is it another movie reference? It's just... Rush? Bullets? What car hits another car in a movie? I don't know.
Fast and Furious?
There you go.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Now, because we just got the TIE Fighter music in The Last Jedi, the impact of hearing it here was slightly diminished, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an insanely fun sequence. Another great slide and a great line.
Oh, this is sliding. What is he...
Well, he must like the scene because it has Lando sliding and the droid.
Maybe he just, he's big into baseball? Or, I don't know. Like, what is going on?
It's just a slide, man. Like
it's robot sex and sliding. Maybe there's some connection I don't understand.
But no kissing. No kissing. That's
right. No, you can't have kissing. No. Oh boy, this is so weird.
This is why you never let anyone fly your ship.
I mean, this is just so well shot. Lando really does have the best lines in the film.
Oh, that's a custom.
Yeah, so well shot. I can't see a facial expression. He's backlit. Really good cinematography here.
Somehow, he considers one of the best lines in the film. Never let someone else fly your ship. that's not witty or clever or anything. It's just common sense. Is common sense just automatically a good line now?
Don't let someone else drive your car, use your stuff, yada yada. It's like, okay, sure.
That was good lines are usually supposed to be like witty or clever or something like that. I mean, it has some meaning of some sort.
Yeah,
All you
just
said was
just watch The Princess Bride. That's a highly quotable movie. There's all kinds of witty lines there. This is a very long movie with odd attempts at dialogue, and I guess there are some funny. Like he mentioned the one about Han that doesn't care, or sorry, Everett doesn't care about who Han's name is. Like that. That was like, yep, you're at a war. Makes sense. Don't care. Just another grunt.
I mean, they could have given like, I mean, they have like lines like, "We're going to need a bigger boat." It sounds, normal and mundane, but in the context, it's kind of funny, kind of clever. Never let someone else fly your ship. It's just not funny or clever. It's just, well, duh, don't do that. Your ship is being attacked. Maybe you're in a violent situation. It's not really clever in that situation.
Stupid capes. And this is...
I don't... What is it?
Stupid capes.
Is he just fanboying again and just in the opposite direction? It's just, I don't get it.
She's just trying to put out a fire with a cape.
Yeah. Stupid capes. What? What is he talking about? This man's mind is alien to me.
Just one of Han's all-time greatest moments. He skids the Falcon onto the surface of the asteroid, flinging a bunch of ice crystals onto the TIE fighters. We see the pilots freeze to death, and then crash.
We see him get impaled. I don't think he died from being frozen.
Those sharp shards are usually pretty bad for skin and organs.
Yeah, if they can shatter the glass of a spaceship and keep traveling, I think they could puncture a spacesuit.
Although I have to admit that scene was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, it looks great, but it's like, okay.
Crash into a rock. Come the fuck on.
Okay, buddy.
In the scene where they upload...
What does he say, come on there? Like, is there a common conjecture that was a mundane, stupid scene or something? Like,
I think he just wants us to admit that it's good.
Oh yeah, bits and pieces of this movie are pretty good.
Like I think that's what he's trying to. It's like, come on, this is a good movie, guys. Can't you see what I see? It's like, dude, everything you've shown us is either your own fanboy projection or special effects.
Pretty much.
That's it.
Nothing about this. Nothing on the good side, on the good box about this movie is due to the writing or anything. It's just really cool visually. And the prequel series were pretty cool visually. But I didn't stop them from being bad movies.
Yeah, he's just fanboying so hard and talking about effects, so I don't get the appeal here.
Like, it's just going to be all about effects. Star Wars might as well have just stayed in the hands of George Lucas.
Maybe. I mean, we would have gotten a lot weirder scenarios with characters and lore retcons, but
yeah,
this is just.
I'm pretty sure when most people heard that Disney was going to take over Star Wars, they're expecting a new trilogy with a fantastic story, because that's what Disney has built much of its legacy on, giving us memorable films and stories and things like that. Good writing.
Well, I remember how Rich Evans of Red Letter Media was saying that he actually sort of loved this movie because it wasn't the traditional Star Wars. It didn't have lightsabers, it didn't have the Jedi, and it was just within the world. What would it be like? And yeah, I actually enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't like this amazing space opera. It was just sort of like this entertaining, silly thing with a lot of stupid contrived scenes and a lot of really ridiculous plot twists at the end. So, if you just want to watch a silly movie, that's...
Yeah, it was I wouldn't say this is a bad movie. Like I say, I think it's all right. it's a good movie if you want to like kill some time, maybe have something to watch while you have friends over, eat some popcorn.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
something.
popcorn. It's a popcorn movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an action popcorn flick. There's nothing uh, deep or cerebral about it. It's just a cool movie to watch.
L3 to the Falcon's main computer. You hear this little music cue that sounds like it's from the original trilogy. But it's really an alternate version of the Kessel Mine music we just heard. Yet it totally evokes the feeling that you're seeing a small link to the old films, which is the fact that L3 is the female computer in the Falcon.
So I hear you make good brandy.
Why did Woody have to say brandy? You're telling me that...
Why not?
What's wrong with the brandy?
Brandy is just a liqueur that comes from wine, and wine is the most common alcohol you can make. I mean, you could have said whiskey.
Like, I don't remember hearing anything about Star Wars drinks, but I'm pretty sure they could have whiskeys and brandies and everything. I mean, scotches.
Well, specific, yeah, but it's like, so, like, who cares, dude?
I know.
Is he going to start arguing, well, you should have said whiskey, it's more generic, and it's like, dude.
It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't add to anything. It doesn't take away from it.
Like, yeah, maybe that's all he knows. Maybe that's what he thinks he's getting. Maybe that's what he was told. He's like, it's, dude, just let it, it's, ugh.
Couldn't have come up with a Star Wars name for brandy?
Why? Then we'd be like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, that would raise more questions than it should, because all we're just establishing here is that he wants a stiff drink. If it was like some weird name, then you're like, what is he ordering? What's going on? Is this something to do with the plot? It's supposed to be benign, a benign little line, just to let us know that he is a drinker who wants a drink. That's it.
It's simple enough.
Call jazz music jizz. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Why did Lando just leave without taking his share? I don't really understand why he did that, other than to make this a really funny moment.
I think that's as deep as it gets there, General Mr. Lee.
It was pretty funny because he set it up and then he just flies away. But I think he also, according to Lando's character, up until this point, he probably saw that the tables were turning and that they were outnumbered. So he's probably betting on the fact that they're probably all going to get killed, and he's not going to get paid anyway. So he might as well just leave.
And he's taking his broken droid and his broken ship with him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I got from that scene. So there's a pretty good explanation character-wise.
Although I don't know why he wouldn't have waited around to see if he gets paid or not.
Maybe, I mean, he's a gambling man.
Like, don't you want your money? It's like, that's why you came.
And he's kind of like a talker. So, he could have easily just gone and approached the winning party. But then again, if the smugglers or the scavengers won, then they have no tie to him. So, like, why should I pay you anything? Just kill him. So I think he was hedging his bets and just leaving while he was still alive.
Oh, I didn't realize Horizon Zero Dawn was in this movie. Now seriously though, why is that little girl drinking alcohol? Now seriously. I love that they made Enfys Nest a teenage girl. It totally explains why she was able to fight Woody with such agility. But you know, I really...
Since when were women being able to be known, or young women, fighting with agility explains previous behavior? Like, wouldn't a man or a young man be just, if not faster?
Apparently, being a teenage girl gives you +2 in the agility stat.
I guess we have a plus to strength and a minus to agility in young men.
Also, that little crew she's got isn't a monarchy or anything. Like, it's not an actual tribe. We find out it's just a collection of people who got together because they're all against the Empire. So why are they following this little teenage girl?
Yeah. What's the hierarchy? What is the group?
Like the leader should be a little older, I think. Someone with life experience.
Someone who could fly a ship, someone who can lead, someone who can manage people, who's good at sneaking and fight, like something.
Yeah. No, just it's a teenage girl who's managed to.
Who's
become the
amazing
leader of the space.
with
Yeah.
a weapon or whatever. It's just like, okay, I guess.
I think the Horizon Zero Dawn crossover was a good call. Great game.
So they cut off the tongue of every last man, woman, and child.
Whoa. Is that what Kira did? She cut kids' tongues off? God damn. That's some Anakin level shit.
No, Anakin killed kids.
Yeah.
You
Cutting out tongues is like villainy 101. Slaughtering rooms of kids is more like a ants course in villainy.
Yeah, it's trying to wrap my brain around his actual Star Wars references. Is like, no, you're wrong. Stop.
Dude, she's a bitch. But we knew that. Damn it. I totally had my money on Enfys Nest being the tongue cutter. It really took me for a ride with that twist. Now, I do love the whole...
Yeah, the no-name faceless mask person.
You know nothing about.
It's like, wow. And how do you know she didn't do that?
And she very well could have. They didn't shy away from killing Woody Harrelson's crew. Potentially killing them.
Yeah, they seem pretty fierce. I wouldn't say it's outside of their scope of behavior, but wouldn't rule it out.
Bait and switch mechanism. But when you really pick apart Han's plan, it's pretty goddamn ridiculous. The plan...
Thank you. Jeez. At least he's not... This is the worst part of the movie, so at least he's not completely blind. Okay, there's some brain up there going, wait a second, this is retarded. Yes, thank you, Lee.
The logical side of his brain is taking over a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, this is so dumb. I cannot stand for this anymore.
It's winning that fight that's been going on this entire video.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, it's like, finally it's winning.
was to actually bring the real coaxium to Dryden, but then rob him by sneaking the blaster pistol inside. But he tells Woody that he plans on giving Dryden fake coaxium just to lure Dryden's people out and have Enfys fuck them up. That way, Han could have an easier time stealing back the real coaxium from Dryden. But the amount of things that could have gone wrong.
Yeah, when all he had to do was just pull his gun out and shoot him in the face. As soon as he entered the room, it was like, boom.
I mean, it worked when Woody Harrelson's character did. He just pulled out his blaster and killed those guys.
But then they have this ridiculous fight scene where somehow knife guy can't shoot gun guy, or gun guy can't shoot knife guy, and knife guy can't cut gun guy. It's just like, what is, like, do you guys like know what you're doing with your weapons?
Apparently not.
And then what's her name? Kira stabs kind of stabs knife guy, but not completely. It's like
just a little tip of his own knife.
Like, no, just drive the goddamn thing straight. Just
I actually have something to say about that scene, but I'll address it when he comes to it.
That just didn't, for some reason. Like, what if Dryden just decided to smash one of the explosive coaxium vials since he thought they were fake? Well, that would have been stupid. But then again, it's...
Yeah. I think that would have been a stupid idea, but he didn't do that. So...
I remember in the movie, he's asking, how did you make these? And, like, first of all, it's like to give us a hint that he might know more than he's letting on. But second of all, I'm pretty sure he might also be asking because he doesn't know how Han made these fakes that he thought they were fake. So just because they're fake doesn't mean they can't explode still. He could have made them out of equally volatile.
The same place they made the real stuff from. Yeah, it would be like, well, I put them in the machine, I press a few buttons, and
Yeah, so it wouldn't be in his best interest to just randomly smash something he thinks is fake, even if he thinks it's fake. It's fake. Boom.
Oops. Yeah, thanks, Lee. That never happened. Okay.
It's the ultimate Han Solo plan because the odds were completely against him. There was such a big chance of failure, but he did it anyway. Kind of like the making of this film. And then as soon as you...
Such a big chance of failure, but he did it anyway.
And it still failed.
You see Enfys and her crew start beating the crap out of people, and then you see that Rhodian pop out, and then the Rogue One dude. It's like you just get neuralized, and you forget all about any possible plot holes that could have been.
Maybe
he's not sure if there are plot holes because his mind was neuralized. But
maybe he got neuralized.
Well, at this point, there's so many things happening, his brain couldn't process it all. But because there's explosions, therefore, good movie. That's
It's like, wait, I guess they're expecting the audience to be going, wait a minute, something's going on here. And then they added an explosion so you wouldn't think about it.
This is great logic by Major Lee here. It's like, oh, as soon as the explosions start happening, everything's better. It's like, okay.
Switch your brain back off.
And then we have this great moment. Kira is all that Han has been fighting for, and now she's about to kill him. But no, it was just a trick to fight and kill Dryden.
I had to.
But no, it was a trick to fight and kill Dryden. Remember when I said that it should have been Han who was the one saving L3 because you should have your main character do the major cool stuff? Like, isn't this movie still called Solo? And that guy was the main bad guy. Why wasn't Han Solo the guy to kill him?
There's the whole fight scene between him and Knife Guy made no sense. Okay, the scene that happens right after where Kira stabs him and doesn't kill him makes no sense. The scene leading up to this made no sense. This whole scene is so stupid, and based off the guess that he will figure it out, and he does, and then that Everett's going to escape with the real stuff, and he does, and for some reason, Han is going to survive this whole ordeal, regardless of who wins this fight, and he does. It's just like, what? What was the plan here? Like, I want to know what Han's plan was exactly. Because all he had to do was walk into the room. Hey, I brought your stuff. He opens up the ledge. He pulls out his gun and he shoots him.
And shoots everybody.
And that's it. No one would have gotten near him because no one has a gun except for him or except for Everett, but he didn't care.
I think this scene would have been at least a little bit better if I know they're trying to make her like this strong character that she's breaking away from the control they had over her, whatever. But they could have done the same thing and like have her really given Knife Guy a fight, but still lose in the end because I think he's the guy who taught her and everything. But story wise, he's the main bad guy. It should be Han Solo who kills the main bad guy, or else what good is he? That's the completion of like his purpose here.
Well, unless the extension of Kira through Han's desire or Han's goal, it has to be clearly shown. But at this point, we're kind of confused as to what the hell's going on. So if it's a side character doing the role, that's fine, provided it makes sense to that character's role or that character's motivation or scenario and whatever happened. And because it's kind of weak, it's kind of like, okay, why didn't she kill him the first time? Why did we go through all this rigmarole just to get her to slice him a second time?
Yeah.
It just didn't really okay, so now she isn't bad, and then she is bad, and then she goes, she just leaves, and you're like, oh, why did you leave?
I mean, I kind of get her plan in the end, where it's convenient for him to be killed off now because she can blame it on someone else murdering him, and then she can move up in the ranks herself. But story-wise, I just think this was a huge mistake because it should have been Han Solo who killed this guy because he's been the main antagonist throughout most of this movie. I know he kills Woody Harrelson's character in the end, but Woody Harrelson is not the main bad guy. This guy is. I just think it'd been a little shown like that he's gotten a little more confident or maybe a little bit more strong.
I try to compare it to an episode of Babylon 5 where Lando is supposed to kill the Emperor, and he's fumbling around with the weapon and he drops it, and the Emperor is strangling him. He's like, "What are you doing?" And it ends up being his little attaché, Veer, who grabs the poison needle and stabs Emperor Katajo. And it's like the way that the writer, where Joe Michael Straczynski actually wrote the scene, he's like, well, I want Londo to kill the Emperor. And then he thought about it. He's like, why wouldn't Veer do it? Because I know Veer as a character. And Veer would be the guy, the perfect guy to do it. And that is the kind of role he would do. He would do for Londo, because they struggled with Veer and Londo throughout the series because they would fight certain political issues, and then it came to him as like, well, if anyone's going to kill the Emperor, let it be the guy off the side that no one really pays attention to. So because Veer was an extension of Londo, it made sense within Londo's role in that particular scenario. Obviously, Veer wasn't supposed to be the guy to do it, but Veer wanted to help Londo, and in that scenario, when there was a struggle, he actually had the opportunity. Because Veer is not really a strong guy. These are old gentlemen, and they're not like they're fighting a younger emperor. So to him to have a poison needle syringe is like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, in those type of scenarios, it does make sense. Like I've seen some shows and movies where the main character might corner the main bad guy, and then lower the weapon, and then give someone else the killing blow, because it makes more sense character-wise or story-wise or anything like something like that. But in these sorts of movies, the one that they made Solo out into, it should have been Han Solo, I think, that dealt the final blow to this main bad guy, because it's an adventure movie, and he's the main hero. He's supposed to be the main awesome Han Solo, badass hero. So I think to fit, it would go well or fit better with his badass character if he just finished off the main bad guy himself.
Yeah, it did not finish off or the death of the villain did not come very well. It didn't come very strongly.
Yeah, he just gets stabbed in the chest, kind of like poked in the chest with his own weapon, and then it has Han Solo get up with his pistol, like he's getting ready to deliver the final blow, and then he's like, "Oh, bad guy's dead." Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, you did.
So is Kira good? Not quite. That was all just a trick so she could move up in the ranks. But knowing this is Kira saying goodbye is really heartbreaking, because this is gonna fuck Han up.
Smile.
She basically tells him that she remembered him for his smile. I told you he has a great smile, but that smile is about to get destroyed. And she carries the burden of knowing that she will be the reason for that. Wait, is that piano in Star Wars? Oh, I fucking love it. Now, I have two major thoughts on the Darth Maul thing. The first thought is that I think this scene actually works better if you don't even know who Darth Maul is.
That's great. If you just turn your brain off and forget the other movies, it's fine. Thanks, Lee.
Hear me out. A lot of people that I've spoken to who know the character but aren't giant fans of Star Wars were pretty damn confused when Maul appeared on screen. Probably because you can barely see his metal legs, so they weren't able to piece together that this was after the Phantom Menace. But if you didn't have any idea who he was, and you're not even wasting brain power on trying to piece together the Phantom Menace connection, it just kind of works on its own. That Kira...
What brain power do you need? He was split in two and now he's back.
I mean, I would assume this was after the, after the Phantom Menace, and I thought that kind of went without saying because there's Imperial troops everywhere.
Yeah. Something else happened. We don't know what. There's no story here. It just.
And I thought it was pretty cool that Darth Maul is part of the syndicate now. So I guess it kind of implies that they're going to add something down the line where it answers what happened after this, because they can't just introduce Darth Maul and then forget about him. I mean, I guess they could, but it'd be a big waste of opportunity.
Well, we'll find out next year if they're going to bother, but I doubt it.
It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good for the Star Wars franchise.
It's like, I just throw in characters. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. No one cares.
Boss to rise to the top, and the next guy up from Dryden is just this even more evil, horrifying, devil-looking guy. That's all you really need to know to feel the drama of what she's going through.
Yeah, because if you actually know... Wait a second. First, he said something really stupid there, but this is all under the assumption you don't know who this devil guy is. But if you do, then it's stupid. And the fact that she's going through drama is like saying she's emotional. It's like, okay, that's a phenomenon between the audience and the stage, not characters. They don't have drama. They have interactions that are emotional that you could call drama, but that's only when you perceive it, not as how they are thinking of it. Whatever is happening in their brains is, who knows? It's not for us to say they're having drama. We don't know what's going through their minds.
Right.
So he's using a stage term or a poetics term to imply that, like, it's like using a term improperly, let's just say. And I'm not saying characters can't have drama, but this is all implied. It's like, do I know what you're feeling right now? Unless you actively tell me, I don't know. You could say she's feeling sad. You could say she's feeling X or Y, but you can't say she's feeling generically, she's feeling drama. It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, when you say it like that, it sounds kind of strange.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I can feel the drama she's going through. It's like, what is that?
Drama.
I can feel she's having feelings. Okay. Such as?
I guess the feelings she has right there are kind of implied. I mean, it is kind of a complex scene at that moment for her because she just betrayed her boss. She moved up in the rank, which is probably self-serving. And then she's also leaving behind her old life, which is Han. And it was at this point, actually, that I fully saw this other trend that I've seen with these sorts of movies where the writers are given a legacy character, but they don't like them. And what they're really trying to write for are the secondary or tertiary characters they add in. And to me, in this movie, it seems like the main writers were actually writing in Kira as the main character. Like she has a lot of main character traits and elements, in my opinion.
Well, again, if we don't know who Darth Maul is, him pulling out a lightsaber is just as stupid.
Yeah, that is kind of stupid. I mean, he just pulls it out for no reason. Like he summons it, and then he ignites it, and then he puts it away. Like it's kind of like he's acting. I don't know.
Maybe he's using it as a defense mechanism, or like he calms himself down. Like it's like a nervous twitch, like a neurotic sort of behavior. Just like igniting the lightsaber and putting it away, and igniting the lightsaber and putting it away.
He's like an OCD, or is it like a safety blanket or something?
Yeah, I'm guessing it could be something like that because he's so full of rage, but he can't express it because if he does, he hurts himself. So he's just igniting his lightsaber, calms him down.
Well, his last one was ruined. Maybe he's like, I got this new one. This one's not getting ruined. This is my baby.
Oh, he's mine. I will get my revenge, whatever the frickin' hell revenge was in the prequels. Good Lord, his character is horrible. If you're going to bring a character back, make it a good one, okay? Okay, people?
It would have been better if we could see, like, the metaphorical rustling leaves of Darth Maul hiding in the background. Like, if they had little hints. And then once we get here, we can look back at the movie and go, oh, look at all these. Yeah, he was there the whole time. But no, he's just... They throw him in like everything else.
I don't think that's very easy to do because Darth Maul doesn't really have much character to us.
No, it's not easy to do, and he doesn't have much character. It's just if they were going to do something like this with a character like this, then it would have been way better, practical to add some sort of hints. I don't know how they would do it because you're right, he doesn't have that much of a character.
Yeah, like imagine it was any of the Hutts or any of the, like, what's that Tarkin or like any of those Imperial guys that might have some...
Oh yeah,
someone, anyone that's not gonna pull out a weapon and like, twirl it around like, look at me.
Because in the end, this would have been a much better payoff if they had laid breadcrumbs throughout the film that we wouldn't have noticed until we got here, and then we look back and we're like, oh man, it's he was there the whole time. He really was.
Yeah, but you have to then work with symbolism. You have to do foreshadowing.
You have to do work.
You actually have to write a story. So
that's way out. That's a way above.
That's not going to happen ever. Not in these movies.
That's well below the pay grade. They were paid way too much to write an actual story.
As soon as she hangs up that call, she looks like she has at least a few regrets, and you really feel bad for her. And as she fully commits herself to the dark side, we actually see
the dark side. What is?
There's no implication of her.
There's
going to
no
the
dark side. There's no light side in this movie, buddy. Even with Darth Maul there as her supposed boss, that does not mean she's working for the dark side.
He's a Sith, and he uses the dark side of the Force. But there's no implication that she's any kind of like Sith, Jedi Force sensitive or whatever. And second of all, there's no mention of a dark side anywhere in the movie.
There's no philosophy. There's no struggle. There's no conflict. It's just her boss.
As far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, she's just doing this for self-serving reasons.
She wants to get promoted. She wants a better position.
She's a person in a criminal syndicate who wants a better position. That's her motivation here.
Yeah.
Well, it seems that way anyway.
And she's learned to avoid entanglements, and that's what she's lived with for 3-4 years. That's it.
And like I said before, this is the moment where she cuts Han loose and starts off on her own path that she chooses.
Yeah, so it's pretty much her making Han's character as opposed to Han making his character.
Yeah.
Which is what you don't do in a story of someone's origin.
Yeah, see, this is why I'm thinking they wrote for her, but they were forced to have a Han Solo movie.
Well, it was kind of assumed that this was going to be the emotional center of Han. And because it's her making the decision, it takes that away from Han. So it's like, oh, this is why he's so cold. But it's never a confrontation. She just walks away. And it's not a very good reason. It's not a dramatic reason. It's just like she chooses to walk away. You're like, okay. Han's like, oh, she's leaving. Oh, that's the drama, the feeling of being stood up.
And that's it.
And you're like, oh,
it's not very big drama.
It's not very dramatic. It's kind of like, ooh, this is depressing. So if it was like, Han, I'm leaving you, and he's like, why? I'm going to a place you can't follow me. Why? Oh no, don't go. Blah blah blah. There's no conflict. It's just, I'll see you later, or keep smiling, or whatever she said. It's like, all right.
Yeah. If it was more like a in-your-face betrayal, like there was a point where she had to choose between Han and the life that she wants in the Syndicate, and she looked him in the face and said, "I'm rejecting you for this new life in the Syndicate," then that would have been a lot more impactful emotionally for Han.
Well, it would have some weight. I mean, this is nothing. Yeah. She just walks off.
Like, oh man,
it's like, darn, there goes my girlfriend. I thought she loved me. Oh, I guess she's not.
Yeah, there should have been a heavy severance between Han and her. That she clearly still has feelings for him, but she clearly has rejected him, and that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, like there's no letter, there's no memento aside from the stupid dice. Which, why he still has that? Like, why would you want the dice of a girl who left you, of her own choice, of her own volition? She was under no pressure here. She just walked away. And you're like, oh, gee, I guess I should hold on to this memento that reminds me of my old girlfriend who left me. For no reason I know of.
The memento made a lot more sense if she either died or she was taken captive again. Like maybe it would have been really cool if she was like sacrificed herself in the end for Han. Like
but it's a negative memory. Like, why would you want this thing which hurts? It's like, oh, this is the girlfriend that left me. And you're like, what?
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense in that. See, that's why I think it would make more sense if something out of his control happened, like she died or got captured. But she voluntarily leaves him. So he's going to keep the dice to remind himself of the woman he loved who voluntarily left him.
It's just weak.
a final glimmer of light in her. It's so tragic.
It's so tragic. Oh, the character we never knew and never want to. That's great.
And it totally works, whether you know who Darth Maul is or not.
Yeah, it totally works as a horrible piece of literary fiction, but Darth Maul is irrelevant to that, so yeah.
And that is how it works.
It just works.
Checkmate. Checkmate, Star Wars fans.
The second thought I had, and I know this will get some hate, is
I'm glad he's counting his thoughts so that we can keep track of them.
that I think Darth Maul should have been Snoke.
Oh God. Why would you think this? Oh, let me guess. We have to defend The Last Jedi at every turn.
Some people do, for whatever reason.
If only Darth Maul was Snoke. Here we go.
And
hear me out.
Never mind. Let's get to the part where he says Snoke.
If it was Snoke who had trained Kira and pulled her to the dark side, and it was Han who swayed Kira away from Snoke, that would give Snoke a good reason to hold a grudge against Han.
How could she be swayed by the dark side if she's not a Force-sensitive user?
It doesn't make any sense. She can't be swayed by the dark side. I mean, in that sense, anyway. And he's wrong. Would it be better if it was Snoke instead? No, because Snoke is terrible. He's terrible in anything he's in, and he shouldn't be in anything, especially not the stuff he's already in.
Yeah, if he was in a prequel movie, that means he's been around all this time doing really stupid crap with second-rate people.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. We're like, why?
Because it's cool. Or it fits.
Just it's stupid. It's dumb.
And what better way to take revenge on Han but to sway someone else he loved to the dark side? This would give Snoke another motivation altogether to corrupt Ben Solo into...
What the hell does Snoke care about Han at that point?
I have no idea.
Why would he care about some smuggler guy?
Not even an established smuggler guy. Just a brand new smuggler guy.
Who the hell? Like, what are you reaching here for? Like, of course, this is just Lee making stuff up because he thinks he's, I don't know, creative. And lots of fans do this whether you like or dislike a piece of media. But it's like, dude, at least understand what you're saying so that other people can go, oh yeah, it's not a bad idea. No, it's fine. It's crap, but you making it more crap is not going to help anyone.
Kylo Ren. He doesn't just want to destroy Luke. He also wants to get back at Han for stealing Kira away from him. That would...
What? He didn't, though.
Yeah, he really didn't. I mean, he doesn't have any... Why would he have a grudge against all these people?
Kira actively chooses to leave Han. She was away from Han for 3 years, and when they meet back up, she leaves him again.
It was under her own volition. Like over those, whatever happened over those 3 years, obviously changed her enough where she wanted to reject whatever life she could have with Han for this new life with this syndicate.
And what the hell is a Sith overlord or whatever care about some random girl and her would-be boyfriend? Like, what the hell?
I mean, isn't Snoke at this point? Like, I know the Empire is thriving, but shouldn't he be like in the shadows somewhere doing something way more important?
Maybe if it was like a pre-messed up Snoke where he's like getting power slow, like, I don't know. But to imply that he wants to start killing people because
like trying to scheme behind
I don't get it. Like, what's the point?
Like, if Snoke was alive during this point and he had like a lot of power, I would see it being interesting if he was being played as kind of like a rival to Palpatine in the dark side, where he's trying to pull strings to
like he was another senator or something, and he was
something where he's Palpatine was the one who was smarter and he won in the end, but Snoke was always the guy trying to overthrow him or outdo him. But is a kind of rivalry. If there's some sort of rivalry, maybe maybe we could see something like this, where he's trying to pull strings from anywhere that Palpatine doesn't have his hands in.
So they were like two Sith on the Senate. They didn't know about each other, and they were just.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make
yeah,
this.
just like, what is Lee talking about? We're trying to like patch it up for him. It's like, Lee, this is a horrible idea. Just stop talking.
It's not giving me much to work with, but you know, it's just trying to make sense out of it.
Would have created an interesting link between all of the new films, making Snoke this figure who has been lurking in the shadows of Han Solo's existence since before A New Hope. And
yeah, but the movies suck, so no.
it would have given the whiny fanboys their little Snoke backstory that they wanted so badly. And if you're wondering...
Okay, whiny fanboys, come on. Like, if is it really whining to complain about something that's terrible?
And
like if I'm eating a literal plate of trash and I'm complaining that it tastes like trash, is that whining?
He's trying to use one movie to cover up another movie he likes better, with not even plot contrivance, like not with plot or lampshades or filling in plot holes or whatever. He's like using a prequel. It's just like, no, like, like why? Like, what are you going to achieve? This is so pointless.
Also, but I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but I did make a video where I explain why Snoke needs a backstory and Palpatine doesn't really, because he already has one.
Well, we all know why many characters in Star Wars need a backstory.
Yeah,
Snoke being one of the bigger ones.
Snoke really, really needs one because he just comes out of nowhere.
But giving him this little interlude where he's like on the screen for 40 seconds and he thinks, Kira, okay. You're like, this is not going to help anyone. It's going to be forced in like he thought all those references were. It's just going to be awkward as hell. This was awkward as hell. But imagine it being twice as awkward, 3 times as awkward, because you have this actual character who comes out of nowhere and is a Darth Lord and whatever. It's just like, no, it's just stupid. This is all bad. Just don't even go this way.
Also, I really like how he whines about whiny fanboys, but he's literally been being a whiny fanboy for 22 minutes.
Trying to project as hard as humanly possible. If only the movie was like this, it would be better.
Yeah, he's been whining, but on the other side, like, it's good because these reasons.
Mostly the music and android sex, which never happened.
Like, do you love him? How's that work? It just works. Oh, awesome, android sex.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I'm surprised he finished this movie because there's no android. I mean, there's no droid anymore. So
yeah.
he must have been bored for the rest of this movie.
Why Snoke didn't just go after Luke during the original trilogy? Maybe he saw that there was a better way to...
Maybe he never existed. Maybe Lucas was actually sane. And he had editors that looked at his work and went, Lucas, you suck. We're going to edit this shit so people can understand what the hell's going on.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Pretty much.
Lucas is an idea guy. He's kind of like Gene Roddenberry. They're both kind of idea guys, but they kind of were light when it, they're kind of terrible when it came to actual storytelling.
Right. They were just throwing things and seeing if they would stick. And then the people around him, like the props guys or the technical directors, they'd be like, well, Gene, that's not really an idea. We can't just have aliens for the sake of it. So
yeah, the people around them that brought it to life.
Exactly. That's, if Lucas didn't have that, those 2 editors, his wife at the time and the other guy, I can't remember the 2 names, Star Wars would have been an extremely different movie and would never have been the hit it was.
Right.
So it's just like he's talking about Snoke as if he was really a thing back in 1978 or whatever. It's just like, okay, dude, come on. Just let it go.
Wait until Ben Solo was born and use him to take down Luke. But oh well. Darth Maul has its pros and cons too that I'm...
Cons. They're all cons. There's nothing pro about Darth Maul. Everything about him is bad. The implication that he's working for someone, that he's part of the dark side, that he's part of a crime syndicate, that he's wielding his lightsaber bullshit. Everything is bad with this scene.
I just couldn't get over the fact that he just brought in his lightsaber for no reason.
No reason. He just pulls it out. Yeah, look at my lightsaber. Puts it away. It's like, okay.
It's kind of like when those people are sitting around a campfire and they put the flashlight in their face to look a little more intimidating. That's basically what he did, but with a lightsaber.
But with, yeah, it's just stupid, childish.
I want to look scarier.
He could have been scared. He could have just sat there and just like stared at her, and she'd be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "Nothing." And it's like, you're like, whoa, okay. Like you're intimidating when you don't say much, you don't move, you look like you're about to destroy something, and everything you say has value and meaning and weight.
Yeah, a lot of intimidation comes with being calm and collected. Where if he just sits there and just stares at you, like he's in control.
When you watch The Godfather Part 2, you know, it's like when you see like he's just Don Corleone.
I see a lot of the Godfather 2 in this movie, of course.
Exactly. when he stands up and pulls out his lightsaber, it's just like Michael stands up, pulls out his gun. It's like, oh, there's the reference right there.
Michael Corleone just takes out a gun, puts it in the front of his face, says something, and then puts it back in his pocket. That's basically what he did.
That's basically
See, I got a gun now. It's cool, huh? All right, that's enough.
I'm honestly not going to get
So
into
stupid.
because I thought him being in the film was pretty fucking cheeseball, to be honest.
Okay, so he doesn't like it. What are you talking about? Make up your mind. Is it great or is it dumb?
Again, I think it's that fanboy side of his brain, a logic side of his brain. They're back at it again.
I think maybe he saw the robotic legs. He's like, oh, he's kind of like a droid.
Those legs, though.
Those hips.
Darth Maul's-
R2D2 hips.
Darth Maul's sassy. You're welcome, everybody.
And the awesome, subtle Duel of the Fates motif is totally not on the sound.
Why would you want the Duel of the Fates motif in this movie?
Because it'd be cool, I guess.
That is such like, why?
Like, does he not know what the Duel of Fates sounds like? It would not fit in the scene.
It would be stupid.
It's an epic track. It's not an intense or drama filled track. It's a adventure style track. Things are happening style track.
The character of Darth Maul is next to non-existent. The music that John Williams wrote does not deserve to be laid next to those movies. Maybe the first trilogy. That's how good the stuff is. So to say, like honestly, Darth Maul, he wants revenge. For what? For who? What happened to him? We have no idea unless we go slowly into other books and other pieces of media. So within the context of the movies, he's just a guy.
Yeah, and like Plinkett said, it's really the movies that matter because it's the movies that the general public are going to go see.
This is the Duel of Fates music wasn't in the like, dude. Just buy this other soundtrack and listen to that. You'll be great. Just stop this music nonsense.
The Duel of Fates song right there would make no sense.
Even a variation of it, it would just be like, why?
Yeah, in any respect, it would make no sense.
Now, a lot of people wondered how Han Solo could become such a hardened, grumpy badass after being such a goofy optimist in this film.
Exactly. How did this character change happen? What prompted it? Where did the time jump do? Like, there's no evidence supporting any psychological change. We can't find it.
Well, this right here is the moment where he gets hardened. When he sees Kira flying away on that yacht, his heart has just been blaster shot right open. Because
Really? For that 2 seconds we saw him, he's suddenly the Han we know? Really?
No, he's not.
That's called an arc, folks, apparently, according to Major Lee.
Arcs apparently can take place in a few seconds.
With where the not smile, because the smile and the not smile and the sand, because he wasn't doing the whatever the Londo sand slide thing. So it's just, you know, whatever. He stood up, so it's like, oh, character change. Oh, that must be it.
He knows he'll never understand what she's going through.
He'll never understand. He just knows.
Yeah, that's why. That's why this is going on. That's why he gets hardened, because he'll never understand what she's going through. It's not because he just killed his mentor with his own hand, and then immediately found out that the woman he's loved and has spent a good portion of his life, like 3 or 4 years, searching for, just betrayed him and left for the dark syndicate, this evil syndicate that they've been working for. It's because he can't understand her feeling.
Yeah, all his desires are irrelevant. Whatever he wanted and dreamed, just no. He just can't. He's so confused. Can't you see the confusion in that face of trying to think the mental state of another person who's miles away?
It's not supposed to be about her feelings. This movie is called Solo. It's supposed to be about him, how everything relates to him, because it's all about him. It's Solo. It's like no one gets this.
But his character arc is now he's just like he's gone through the entire hero's journey within a span of 3 seconds, and he's made a choice to become hardened, and he's not smiling, which would have been hilarious if he was smiling, because that would have been absolutely brilliant, because he'd be thinking about her, and she said to keep smiling, and he'd be like, oh, I'm going to think of you now all the time.
You betrayed me and stabbed me in the back and left.
Major Lee, I wish I could have this conversation with you, but I don't think we'll ever have it. And if we do, I don't think it'll be very fruitful, but, you know.
We know that too. Han
We do. Of course we do. Because you just told us.
has lost multiple people he loved to evil Jedi and the dark side of the Force, something he never really comes to understand.
When did that happen in the movie?
Never.
Does he even know what a Jedi is at this point?
I don't know. Has this guy ever seen Star Wars?
What's he talking about? He's like
dark side.
What is he? Oh, jeez.
What people did he actually lose? All he cared about was her, and then
Chewie.
Was he talking about like Woody Harrelson's people?
Maybe.
He didn't really care about them. He knew him for like 5 minutes.
He didn't care about the Horizon Zero Dawn chick, so.
And she didn't even die. She's still alive.
She's still there. Like, what is he talking about?
So who did he lose? Like, he lost virtually no one in this movie.
Well, I don't. It's just. The movie isn't over, guys, so we got to keep watching Major Lee's commentary. So here we go.
But Chewie puts his arm on him, letting him know he will always be his friend. And I think Chewie's all...
Really? Is that the sign for eternal friendship in Wookiee? I don't know.
He just put a hand on your shoulder.
Can't you just say that he'll be his friend through the thick and thin, or as long?
In that scene, I do get the sense that Chewie has decided to become, stay with Han as his friend. But like you mentioned earlier, if he was bound by like that life debt, and then I'm not sure if you can pay off one of those and then free yourself. I'm not really sure about that, but I think it would be a little more interesting if by this point Chewie has, paid off his debt, but decides to stay with Han anyway. That would have been...
That's interesting. Yeah.
A lot more meaningful there, I think.
More depth to Chewie. This was a really good movie for Chewie. Not to say that Chewie was a great character, but there was just more to it, more to him. And we got to see him be everything Chewie is, which is the funny, slapstick, strong, silent character that he's always been.
Right.
So
he was still Chewie. I still got a pretty strong vibe of this is the Chewie that I've seen in the original.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Even though it says Solo, like the same joke that he was making about Woody, being the title character. It's like no. This is like Chewie, the Star Wars film. Like that's, I would say there's better characterization and better history of Chewie than there is of Han.
Yeah, it seems like that way to me too.
for a character. It's like imagine doing R2D2, a Star Wars movie. It's like two characters who don't talk. They just bleep and bleep.
Ideas.
Runs around, tries to fix things, saves the day. Like, yeah, I'd watch that, R2D2. It's stupid as it probably would take a lot less to make.
Oh yeah, it's got a little robot driving around doing things. I mean, if you had a good writer, like a good one, they could make a whole cool story about R2D2 running around fixing things. It could be drama. There could be all kinds of things going on. It didn't have to be this big adventure, but it would still be something starring R2D2 and be interesting.
Yeah, you'd have Admiral Akbar and all kinds of like B-list characters that you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh wow, I want to see that. And it's just R2D2 running around with C-3PO.
Yeah, their little adventures.
Also telling him, don't be bad.
Don't be. Yeah, that's exactly what Chewie's saying in this non-conversational scene.
I'm pretty sure Chewie's not telling him don't be bad, be good, because because they become smugglers and he's okay with it. They become full-on criminals and he's fine with it.
So don't be as bad as her, or don't smuggle too hard, or I don't know.
Smile.
Smile when you kill people. Okay.
For this hoe, just be good. Then there's this final scene, which I have some problems with.
Oh, but it's an underrated film. Okay. Like every scene he's talked about, he's had like this big caveat, this big asterisk next to everything. And he's like,
It's that battle going on in his head.
Yeah, it just doesn't stop. He's like, what are you doing, Lee? Stop it. Stop saying shit. Like,
is that right? This isn't right. No, it's right. Trust me.
This whole thing just feels really rushed and tacked on. They effortlessly score the Falcon, they're immediately flying it, we get a really unnecessary Jabba the Hutt reference, and then the movie ends. There's a nice little ball of references for you to suck on. Now fuck you and go home.
But it was a light Jabba the Hutt reference. He didn't name Jabba the Hutt. He said there's a criminal putting together a gang. Let's go throw a head in with him.
It was a bad scene because, again, he sees Lando, he steals the card, he cheats, or he shows the rest of the people at the table, hey, I have a cheating card here, and I didn't use it, and everyone's like, yay, you won. It's like, no. He's showing you card players. He has a card under the table, implying he was cheating.
Yeah, in the real scenario like that, in that sort of environment, that would mean a bullet to the face.
And that's, yes. Like if you were at a casino, you get kicked out. If you were in a den like that, you'd get shot, yeah. It's just bizarre. All he had to do was play his winning hand and take the thing. And that was it. But no, he had to like show off and, hi guys, I have a trick card that you didn't play. It's like, oh, wait, you've been holding that the entire time?
You're cheating? All right, time to slit your throat.
Yeah.
I mean, those sorts of scenes do fit in a Western, which is what they're kind of trying to tap into in this movie. But in every Western where there's cheating, that guy always gets like beat up or shot or something like that. So cheating is not something you can just show off and then get away with it.
It's just a bad, like, the scene itself is pretty mundane, as he was like saying. It's kind of bleh, but.
And one thing I would agree on is that it does end kind of in a mundane fashion. It's not spectacular in any way.
If he was like pulling off his heist and there's a big explosion or something and he gets away and it's just like, and he flies off, it'd be like, oh, okay, cool, he's doing what he's doing. And this one, he just flies to where he might be going. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I know it's kind of like they're rushing off the next adventure. But I mean, the first, in the original trilogy, the first movie ended with like the Death Star exploding and everyone being saved. And you have the same sort of feel even in the new trilogy. The Star Killer base, it gets destroyed and everyone's saved. Even the new trilogy movies, or at least The Force Awakens, has a better ending.
Oh.
I mean, the ending to Solo could have been more, relative to his character. Maybe, he meets up with some bad guys and they corner him and he just shoots them all or something. Something. something to fit within his character.
I'm trying to say what you can do with an ending like this because it just ends up with a gambling scene where they get the plane or the ship back. It's like, well, okay. Again, he's just really good at cards. It's just why, how, we don't know.
Yeah, he picked the right character class, so he's good at cards. I mean, it would have been a lot cooler if they ended with not just a generic rush to adventure, but like then maybe they pull out and the camera shows that they're rushing to their next heist already or something. You know, give us something more meaty to bite into at the very end, something with more weight.
No, the film just ends in the most unsurprising way possible. If this is all the Solo we ever get, this is a pretty shit way to end his prequel saga. But
okay, so the movie sucks. Right?
What's underrated?
I'm really confused here. It's a really bad ending. Yes, we agree. Therefore, it's a bad movie. So why'd you make a video about saying it's underrated? I don't get it.
But if they did do a Solo 2, and this is the first episode in a series of films, this ending wouldn't seem as bad. In fact, I probably wouldn't even care about it at all. Now, although I had problems with the ending, I clearly loved the film as a whole. There was so much good shit to enjoy in it. The scene where Han and Chewbacca meet is just one of the greatest moments in the entire series. The amount of joy that washed over me when I first saw this part. I felt like a child in a movie theater without my parents. And it was amazing. The amount of genuinely joyous moments, like Han seeing hyperdrive for the first time, the Maw monster's face getting ripped off, that giant explosion that caused the mountain to cave in on itself. The fact that
he actually admits he's just randomly making shit. He's just like, yeah, this thing happened I liked, and this thing happened. And it's like, yep, we get it. You have joy watching dumb movies. Okay.
Woody is in the film.
Here we go. The cast. Doesn't matter how they acted, didn't matter what they did. They hired this guy. It's a great movie.
Well, Woody Harrelson is pretty awesome. I just don't think he fits too well in Star Wars. He kind of sticks out.
They could have made him work.
Well, yeah, they could have made him work. He just seems kind of awkward, and he has the unfortunate distinction of being in one of these movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is just something to be thankful for. This guy was meant for Star Wars.
Is he?
Is he meant for Star Wars?
Yeah, what criteria? Are you comparing him to Harrison Ford? Like, I don't...
We ask that question a lot during this video. What's your standard of comparison? What's this guy's standard?
Like, the Harrison Ford guy you got wasn't very Harrison Fordish. Is this guy more Harrison? Like, what do you... Why does he fit within a Star Wars, like a space opera, action adventure? Like, why?
Because he does. That's all you need.
Okay.
He's literally a spaced out cowboy in real life. And
he's into hemp. I know that. He's sort of into politics. I don't know if he's an actual cowboy, though. But
he spins his guns around.
But so what? Like, how does that qualify him for being in a space opera?
It qualifies him to be in a Western, if anything.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
The fact that he gets to wear the Lando skiff outfit, play Jarek, create the blaster pistol, pilot the Falcon guns, and
pilot the Falcon gun. Okay, the turret. All right, fine. I'll let that slide.
Yeah, you got to shoot the turret.
Get killed by Han Solo shooting first just makes me really happy.
It's so much joy watching this movie. Just joy in my face. Feelings of happy. It's like, okay, yes, you love the film. We get you. Except the ending, and except the Darth Maul scene, and except the double triple cross scene, and a bunch of other little scenes you talked about. I can't remember. But it's a great film. You gotta go watch it. Yeah.
And I'll close with this thought. Solo was not the greatest idea. We all knew that. But the film that they've created out of that shitty idea actually really deserves a sequel.
Okay, so wait a second here. The premise was bad?
he's got this backwards. The premise was good. The premise was solid. Make a backstory movie about Han Solo. I mean, it's obvious because he's one of the most famous characters in the franchise. The movie that came out of it was bad, like against all odds.
I think he's just making shit up at this point. He's like trying to say, well, even though the idea behind it was bad, what we got was amazing. It's like, dude, you just listed 4 or 5 things that you didn't like and you were really pissed off about. And you hate it. You actually hate the movie because there's no sequel. I don't, but it's a great film. You loved it.
It's terrible, but it's great.
I don't. It's like when I see a bunch of problems with, like, say I go out to eat and I have a plate of a steak or whatever, and I see, oh, this is you gave me half a steak. There's all this grizzle, but I really like the side dish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I should order this again. It's like, no, I should not order this again. This is a bad steak dish. I just described the reasons why it's bad. Like it's either bad and there's things wrong with it, or maybe it's kind of bad because of those sort of things wrong with it, or it's great because there's nothing wrong with it. And that greatness is dependent on my reaction to what's actually good, not what's actually bad. So this is where Lee is getting very confused. It's like, because there's good stuff, it supersedes the bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting that by his explanation. I'm just like, music.
There are instances where that can happen, where some parts of the movie are so great that it overshadows the bad, but it's not working here. Like the stuff, even in his own video, the stuff that he points out as being great aren't, pertinent to the movie. Like, are the settings cool? Yeah, the settings are great. The music's great, but story not so much. Characterization, not really. Everything that makes a movie is not great, but all the special effects, the music, that's the part that was on point.
Yeah, so it's not an issue of the quality of the artists behind the media. It's the actual storytelling in the story that's failing. And if that's all it is, then he can just say that, well, the story isn't very good, but the way that the characters are presented and what they do looks good and sounds good. And he was like critiquing the music a lot. So I was like, maybe that, if they got the proper music, it would be even better. I'm like, sure, of course, why not? But dude, you just listed all these flaws. Why do you think it's mediocre? It's because people notice the same shit you did, and they understand the value of having a bad product, whether it's media, music, or whatever. It's bizarre.
Even in his own standards, this is not a very good movie. Saying it's bad, but it's awesome. That's just what the vibe I keep getting from this video.
They set up enough solid threads that just beg to be resolved.
Okay. The one-dimensional characters that went their own way? What are you going to do? Have 4 more movies? Is that what you want? I don't want that. I want actual characters I care about. Maybe 1 movie.
I'm guessing he wants the Solos movie to become like its own movie series, its own movie universe, or some shared movie universe.
That is not going to happen. There's no way.
Pretty much its own pulp, where he's going on to his next adventure.
I think he wants movies. I don't think he wants comic books or.
Oh yeah, he wants movies. He just wants them to be more like, all right, here's Han Solo's next adventure. Here's Han Solo's next adventure.
I feel very strongly that he doesn't actually gauge his own opinions. Like he says, oh, this made me feel X, therefore this is X. It's like, no, dude, this is, Kira just popping up out of nowhere is contrived. It's not a good thing. It's just happens to bring them close because the plot demanded it. And you're like, why? And then he even said that the fight scene where Horizon Zero Dawn girl just erases all the plot holes if there are any. It's like he's not even thinking anymore. It's like, there could be some plot holes. But
that is what he said. He's like, there's a lot of problems, but explosions happen, and problems aren't all that important anymore.
My memory was erased. It's like, okay.
It's been neuralized.
Han and Kira thing was just getting good.
It wasn't actually good. It was about to get good. And then the movie ends. You're like, ha ha.
They were supposed to. This movie was supposed to be like self-contained. It wasn't supposed to be, the start of a new franchise. At least that's what I got from the movie called Solo. It's supposed to be his like origin story, how he got started, that sort of thing.
Yeah, imagine, again, I bring up Princess Bride just because it's a singular story, but there could have been a movie sequel. Now, if you actually know the writer, he wrote a sequel within a book form called Buttercup's Baby, because they all ride off on the white stallions to wherever, and they continue the story in that book. So that could have been made into a movie, but it would have been a lot different because of what he wrote about and how he wrote and all the interconnectivity of the characters. So if this was the first Solo movie, had enough merit to warrant a sequel, it'd be like, okay. And not just because it would have done well at the box office, because the story and plot threads were there, which this movie does not have.
Yeah, if this movie, how it is right now, gets a sequel, it's going to be kind of like a tacked-on, forced sequel. Because they want another something with Han Solo in it.
And if it was like Transformers, where it just sold like crazy,
that would make sense.
Then yeah, it would make a sequel, and the movie would suck. But it'd be explosions and everything else you want, like great music and robot sex. Essentially, that's pretty much it.
I wonder if he does like Transformers.
Oh yeah, for sure, no question. unless it's too hip to not like it.
Oh, I guess there could be that, because it is still popular in general audience.
Yeah, I think you might like it because it is quite popular in terms of ticket sales. So yeah, I definitely robots. So yeah, robots and John Williams is his thing. So
Darth Maul connection was just starting to be introduced.
It was introduced. Not starting to be. You cannot start an introduction. It was an introduction. He was there. It was god awful. And you think the second time he comes on screen is going to be better? Okay.
Could be.
It's not going to be worse, I hope. It's like you're in a hole 100 feet deep. Well, if it's 90 feet deep, it won't be as bad. You're right. It won't.
As long as you don't dig any deeper.
Jesus.
Gotta spend more time with Lando. We still haven't seen...
Do we really?
I don't think we actually have to.
His ship is gone. He's lost his ship and his droid. What happens to him? He's like a B-list character in the original trilogy. Why do we want to spend time with him?
Because he's cool.
Just think about it.
They could make a Lando movie. I don't know.
Just think about, from this point on, they have the whole Millennium Falcon with all of Lando's stuff. So his wardrobe is still there all these years until we get to Empire or whatever, when they put on those masks and whatever. Like, it's just like, what? So Lando is never involved? Did he get his stuff back? Apparently not. So now he's without his home, he's out of his ship, without his droid. He probably is not going to be able to gamble in that place anymore. It's just like, okay.
I don't see how Lando and Han became friends after this.
Yeah, they kind of, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no real event in this movie that makes a connection between Lando and Han, other than they were on the same heist together.
Yeah, and who the hell wants to see a next continuation of Kira and Darth Maul? Like, what the hell kind of story would that be? It's like, oh,
that's basically the story they were making. They're just using Solo's name to push it.
Yeah, but what the hell is that? It's like, it's this no-name chick who part of a crime syndicate, who has a chip on her shoulder, and Darth Maul. Like what? I'm not interested in seeing that. I can't think of anyone who'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait to see a sequel to Solo" when they show off what happens to Darth Maul. What's he gonna do? Pull out his lightsaber and talk?
Put out a lightsaber, put it in front of his face, and talk again. Make it look more intimidating.
At least he didn't ramble on about revenge or some bullshit.
Another revenge.
Still trying to get revenge.
Like, the only thing I got from this Darth Maul showing in this movie was that he seems like he's a villain who's really insecure.
Yeah, he's got some problems, which could be interesting, but not in the extent that a Darth Maul with problems would be. It'd just be like, oh, he's gonna get angry.
Yeah, like he's still really embarrassed about being cut in half by a Padawan. Or
yeah, and I think people are mentioning that Darth Maul dies in. I can't remember. Is it Rebels? One of those 3D shows.
Canon? Are those shows still canon?
I don't know. They have to. Some aspect has to be because obviously he has robot legs. Yeah.
Even if it weren't canon, he'd probably come back with robot legs anyway.
Why they brought him back, I don't know. They should have just invented a new character for the hell of it. And just like, okay. At least he just so long as they don't do stupid shit like pull out lightsabers.
For no reason.
It's like, I'm going to talk to you with my lightsaber in front of my face. It's like, okay.
They say the prequels are bad about pulling out lightsabers at a drop of a hat, but this was even worse. There was no reason for him to do it. Just because they have to show a lightsaber in a movie that has Star Wars on it or something.
I guess it's just, that was the one thing we did not want in this kind of movie was any mention of Jedi or Sith or fights with lightsabers or the Force. Nothing. We wanted nothing of that, and he just had to come in and ruin it. And the dumbest was just like, I'm Darth Maul. It's like, okay.
I mean, if you make a movie about Lando, Chewie, and Han, it'd be really interesting because it'd be more like a crime sort of movie.
Yeah.
Dark underworld sort of maneuvering to these things.
Yeah, that again, those are the interesting aspects of Star Wars. All the seedy underbellies, all the plans, all the technology, all the droids, all the droid comedy. That's always been there, and that's always been lighthearted and fun.
Yeah, because one of the beautiful things of Star Wars is dark, very, very dark aspects contrasted against its very, very light aspect. The optimism and the pessimism. It's a hard black and white sort of contrast, and that's why I think it works so well. It has its own little mood. It's a Star Wars mood.
But we wanted that roguish character. We wanted the roguish character to be in actual non-roguish scenarios and work their magic through them. And in this one, it's just all rogues. It's just all a bunch of guys trying to one-up each other. And that's why the double, triple cross nonsense just did not work. It just came out of nowhere. No one was this smart, especially the bad guy. And Kira just decides to walk away or walk into the next step of her job, whatever. You're just like, okay.
And yeah, I didn't really see that part coming, but it wasn't really earned either. I mean, there should have been like some hints to her being that kind of ambitious.
Yeah, her character was just totally one-sided. And it's just like, what? So you like Han, now you don't like Han. Okay.
She's ambitious now. She's an ambitious ladder climber now. Like, it's not really good writing to pull that sort of stuff off without hinting towards it before that happens.
The idea that the proto-rebellion or the rebels were from Horizon Zero Dawn chick was like really, really weak. I didn't even believe that was a thing. It's just like, no.
That was really stupid. It's like they kind of trying to add that in just to have a link to the original trilogy and the rest of the Star Wars story. But if you ever played Force Unleashed, there's a better way of how the rebellion started, and it was like a big ploy by the Emperor where he wanted to He manipulated you, the main character, like gathering all the people who are willing to form the alliance, and then he turned on them and captured them.
See,
But
that sounds
obviously that
interesting.
plan failed.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
actually sounds interesting. I do know that Fortune Unleashed is a bit outside of canon, but
yeah. I'm not really sure how much canon is because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in it, but they are good game.
oh yeah,
Han screw over Jabba the Hutt, we have to know what happened to the little green thing. We
no, we especially do not.
have to see Aloy return to Zero Dawn.
No, well, that's a bad idea. So I don't think wanting to see the foundation of the rebels grow. I mean, actually, that could work in fan fiction or a book, but
Yeah,
can you imagine the formation of the rebellion before the Empire is made? Or is this?
yeah. It's a very good premise. It's a very good premise to look at how the rebellion started in the first place. But I'm not really sure if I would trust that premise in the hands of these people.
No. You'd give it to like a top fantasy or sci-fi writer, and
At this
say,
point, I'm willing to give it to Lucas before these people.
well, that's a whole other bag. What he talked about for his idea of doing another trilogy was strange as hell. So like he wanted like microscopic aliens or something. It was just like weird shit.
Yeah, he has some crazy ideas. Lucas does have some very crazy ideas.
Yeah, and that's why after the 80s, it's just like, okay, Lucas, you can't just write stuff down and have no one criticize you. You need to go back to basics. Go back to the 70s. Get that mindset you had. If he wants to do it. If not, there are dozens of other great science fiction writers out there who look at Star Wars and go, I can do anything with this. This is like, it's so gray, it's so open, and yeah, there's some stupid things you have to do, like the Jedi have to be a certain way, and you can't have all these gray Jedi running around, or that would really confuse up continuity.
Yeah.
Like you can't, like what KOTOR did. They had like, this was done thousands and thousands of years before the timeline of the normal Star Wars, and even they had a massive Sith Empire far, far away, outside of their own storylines. I thought that was like, oh, just crazy other storyline that was going on. So
Yeah, that way they didn't have to mess with canon and still.
yeah, it's like their own little pocket.
And that was good for an RPG because you could still manipulate everything around you, having to contrast with, the actual canon of the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, and it was fantastic for the games. I don't know how that affected the other, like the Old Republic, the MMO, but the examples of what I've seen have not been perfect because it ends up turning into a single player anyway, of what all the DLC they've been releasing, and they even released one in December. So it's still ongoing. It's still popular to a degree. So they must be making money. It's not a complete waste of time. So there are buyers for these things.
Yeah,
And-
Star Wars is a very lucrative franchise. It's easy to make something people will like. It's easy to write stories for because it's such a rich universe that you can almost do anything
right
inside of it.
And only because of the inception of what happened with The Force Awakens and everything after is where we see the degradation of the lore and the story and the characters and everything else that made Star Wars Star Wars. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what's going to be the next movie through.
Basically,
And-
the Star Wars fell into the hands of people who don't really care about the franchise or the
Yeah.
fans or anything. It's
Yeah,
just-
like
they want to do their own thing.
When like even with J.J. Abrams, it was like, dude, do you know what you're doing? He's like, no, I'm just taking what is popular and I'm just making it bigger, which is retarded. And then when you look
Yeah.
at what they did with The Last Jedi, at least with Rian Johnson's mentality, and they had a team of 7 or 8 editors who would overlook his work and they didn't like change anything. It's like, how can 7 or 8 people sit around, read the script, and go, "Oh yeah, this is perfect. Everything's fine. This is good. It's a bit shocking at times, and I don't understand half of it, but yep, everything's good." Like it doesn't wrap. It doesn't. How does that happen? I don't know. In any project I've been involved in with the group, there's so many opinions, and even creative projects. You have the clients come back, and the developers come back, and the project managers come back with all these concerns, and And it's always about, did they sign off on this? If not, can we change it? And if we can't change it, can we ask for additional like time and resources to fix things because there's clear problems? Like everyone's concerned about quality. And in The Last Jedi, I cannot see any discussion that could have happened. I mean, like it never popped up because every scene of that movie has problems.
Right. I mean, and I didn't actually watch The Last Jedi because I got I got jaded after everything that's been going on with the franchise. But
Yeah.
from what I've seen from Force Awakens, I did see Rogue One, and Solo. It just seems like they're putting a message out first, and they're trying to use legacy characters as a flagship to get sales, but they really want these secondary characters that they're putting in there and these other messages and elements they want put in there, trying to push those before story. And as a result, you get movies that are kind of disjointed and they feel kind of unfocused, and they kind of zip from one thing to another. Because I know I haven't seen The Last Jedi, but I do know about that one scene where they talk about, it's like a commentary on the rich and the poor and casinos and stuff like that.
Oh, that was a ridiculous. The whole Canto Bight scene is ridiculously useless, and the fact that this was apparently just a city or a planet city that made money off the war. It's like, well, what's wrong? Like, that has nothing to do with who's fighting the war. They're just providing a service. They're giving the armor, they're giving the weapons. It's like, here, go
And
do.
that's what I mean by these movies feeling like disjointed and like unfocused. That they do have a story set, and they're going along that movie, that storyline, and then they seem to like overcorrect, and they just make a Tron turn to like the message you want to put out. This has to be the movie because we want to put this message. All right, back to the story, and it's just like they're trying to juggle all these things at once, and none of them meshing together.
Well, that's what happened with Solo. There was so many things, so many threads, and so many flat characters that you couldn't find what Solo was, who the character was, aside from a happy guy who wants to find his girlfriend.
And we saw that with all the movies it apparently takes part of.
Yeah, but that's it. It was, other than that, it was a giant Easter egg movie. It's just constant references. Most of them, most people won't even get. And for what was garnered was like, oh, dice. And you're like, why is this important? The dice are important because it reminds Han of the girlfriend who left him. And that's a very strange message to receive once you learn about them, that they were this symbol that's occurred in The Last Jedi, and Luke gives the dice to Leia, and it's like, does she know? She must know what these dice mean. She married the guy. I mean, does Leia care about Han's ex-girlfriend that left her? I mean, this is a very strange gift. Like, why?
I don't know. She might, because apparently in Force Awakens they're divorced, separated,
estranged. Yeah, it's such a weird thing, and for the meaning to be, my girlfriend left me, is like, what? Like, imagine it was, my girlfriend sacrificed her love for me, or sacrificed herself because she cared about me so that I could live, and that's why I'm Solo, and that's why I call myself Han Solo, and it symbolizes my desire to not want to be alone, and this is what Han always believes, and Luke knows this, and Leia knows this, and it's symbolized by the dice, and he gives the dice to Leia, and Leia always never felt alone with, like, it's like, okay, we get it. We understand things now. There's meaning behind the dice as opposed to my girlfriend left me. It's just, what? Anyway, let's see what General, or I keep saying General Lee, like I love the Dukes of Hazzard or something. Oh, God, I'm old. Okay, let's watch the last 20 seconds of this thing.
They designed this film so that everything that survived until the end just has the feeling of needing to be continued. And
yeah, for better or worse. Like, we really want to see the last of whatever the hell happened to Lando and his down on his luck. Whatever the hell Maul is doing, whatever the hell Kira's doing. That's it. I can't think of anything else I care about. Nothing. Yeah.
With that said,
To be continued. So is he going to do another video on Solo?
Apparently he's going to do the top 10 droid porn website. I hope this is a joke. I really do. I don't know if these are jokes because I don't really watch his videos, but
top 10 droid porn.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the one on the left. I don't know if that's, again, this sounds like a pure joke. This is so bizarre.
I hope it is.
But holy crap, we went through 4 hours of sitting through this bizarre video of fanboy fangasms.
Yeah, this was a very juicy video.
Oh God, this is just up and down. It's great. It sucks. It's great. It's amazing. It's the best music. It's not in it, but it's still great. And you're like, okay. Yeah, so Major Lee's an interesting character, and if anyone wants to figure out,
I don't think I've ever seen him. I don't think I've ever seen him before, or I've ever seen any of his videos before. But yeah, he seems like a very interesting person.
Yeah, and I just wish he had more people to talk to him about his ideas, because I think a lot of this stuff would have been cleared up. Because when you write your own scripts for making videos or whatever, you read through them, you edit them, and then you actually perform them. And while you're performing, you're like, geez, I probably shouldn't have said that, or that didn't sound right, or that's not what I was going for. And at least a dozen times.
Yeah, it does happen, yeah.
With him, it's just like, this is way off, dude. This is totally subjective. This has nothing to do with your premise. Like, so many times he said this was a bad film.
I mean, according to his premise, that Solo deserves a sequel? I mean, could it have one? Yeah. Does it deserve one? I don't think so.
Absolutely not. No, it was very mediocre. It had too many problems. It had a bad setup, a bad execution, bad lighting. It was just done improperly, and we know that because there were multiple directors, and there were reshoots, and it cost so much money to remake, to market, and if for some strange reason it made money, obviously if it made a lot of money, then yeah, they would probably make a sequel. But
yeah,
even if they made just like, let's say a moderate amount, I don't think they would go for it. Which is strange, because this is such, like, anyone can write a roguish character and have fun with them. And in this movie, it wasn't that fun.
And again, movie is about Han Solo of Star Wars. This should have been an easy hit.
Like, you can imagine all the heists and all the schemes and all the fun, crazy things he would have gotten into. And instead he gets captured, he gets thrown into prison, he joins the Empire, and just nothing happens for 3 years. He either gets, the Cthulhu monster was strange and weird, but it was like outside in space, and he wasn't interacting. Like, it wasn't any mystical, magical, exciting, cool things. It was just maybe a few chases. Like the one was, he was running away from the TIE fighters.
Yeah, and like I said before this stream, I think does it deserve a sequel? Does this version of Solo deserve a sequel? I don't think so. But if they had set it up as a longer work, like a Han Solo, his own trilogy, then maybe the first one would be about his whole stay in the Imperial Army, because that's 3 years of his life, and the second one would be the one where he's at his lowest, where he ends the movie with having lost everything, and then the third one, he's back up, and he's been hardened by the previous 2 movies, and he's taken everything he's learned, and he finally does a death blow to whatever bad guy is going around, maybe the Syndicate or something like that. Maybe the Jabba the Hutt should be in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's like when you make a prequel, you have to describe qualities of the character that they don't yet possess or not possess to the level they currently have. And with Solo, he's got luck or gambling, and flying skills. Always. He's always had them. We don't know how, aside from his dad making ships, which makes no sense. And nothing else is developed. Nothing. He learns nothing. He isn't the hardening of whatever, if that even occurs. I can't even say. Doesn't change any of his skills. Doesn't change any of his character. At the end, we see him goofing around, winning at cards. He seems pretty happy. He's good.
Yeah, he doesn't change.
So maybe Lee's right. Maybe there should have been a second so that we can actually see the change. But then you're missing the point of doing a prequel.
Yeah, because this whole movie wasn't supposed to be, here's the adventures of Han Solo. I thought it was supposed to be, here's Han Solo and how he developed into the character we know from the original films.
Right.
And the trilogy thing would make more sense if it goes over these significant portions of his life. But they skipped over a lot of these significant portions of his life.
Yeah, but imagine if it was done right. And then if it was a trilogy, the second and third movies would just be him being Han Solo. And what would you do? You wouldn't have much character growth because he's already established as the Han Solo we know. So they'd have to do other things. And
if they went with the trilogy, then it would be like he's starting off as normal Han, the one we probably from this movie. And then by the end, he would be the Han third movie. But if we did a good, solid one movie, which this should have been, then yeah, you can do the whole thing in one go.
Yeah, but if it was solid the first time through, then you could do actual value with side characters and throw Han into them, or expand the universe even more. Like that's the thing I got from this.
Like once Han Solo has been established, then you can put more weight and value into the people around him.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be Solo a Star Wars story. It could be Kira a Star Wars story. It could be whatever the value of those characters could be, because those characters are so interesting and they have so much depth to them. But if you don't give us any depth, any character, any characterization, any character growth and conflict and idealism that gets, batted around and changed, then it's not worth it. There's no substance to latch onto and nothing to expand upon. So there's really no point. So honestly, I'm kind of happy that this movie did not do well. It does not deserve a sequel. And this is probably the downfall, as we will see, of this year's Star Wars movie.
Yeah, because the behind the scenes of the Star Wars franchise, I hear, is in total chaos and disarray. Things are being axed off. Things are being canceled. They're in full panic mode.
Well, it's kind of sad to see that, because creatively they're working with a gold mine and they don't know how to get the goose to lay the golden egg anymore. It's just sad. When everyone else is like, dude, just do anything. Just literally write a story where good guys win, make it simple, make it clean.
That's basically what Star Wars is. This is a story where the good guys win and the bad guys get beaten at the end. I mean, it's a simple black and white, good and evil kind of story in most cases.
You don't hire the guy who did experimental detective noir story to write the second part of a trilogy. It just makes no sense. You don't do that. I don't care how clever he is. You just don't do that, folks. So anyway, I think we've killed enough hours of your day, people, as well as I've had fun talking about this sort of stuff, because
I thought it was fun.
Solo is definitely one of those films which is worthy of looking back and saying, well, why did it screw up, and how, and to have a fanboy gush about it and his ideas, which were, I'd say, more than half projection, is pretty entertaining just to listen to. So hope you guys had a good time. Take it easy this evening, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, have a good night, everybody.